Today's date is January 19th, 2019. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hit the Books Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Holcomb.
And I'm Emery Saunders.
And we're here to give you all the saucy deets on everything comics this week. For those of you unfamiliar with our show, this is your weekly comic book podcast where Emery and I, and perhaps a guest, go through the latest news, the new comic book releases from your local comic book shops.
Please support your local comic book shops.
And discuss a topic about the world of comic books for your amusement. If that sounds like a good time, be sure to hit like and subscribe on the YouTube channel and rate well elsewhere. Stitcher, iTunes at the moment. It really does help us out. You can always find us on YouTube, Stitcher, and iTunes, and be sure to check out our website, htbvids.com, where you can find links to all of these things, as well as plenty written content and lists. One of the lists including all of our comics of the week for every year since 2017. So be sure to give that a look if you are so inclined. We do have a Patreon page. It is patreon.com/hitthebooks. Spelled just like it sounds. If you would be so kind and feel so inclined as to contribute to the show and help us keep the camera on, the mics on, and keep everything rolling at a regular pace.
Semi-regular.
We would be very grateful. If not, please enjoy the show. We love having you around. And if you'd like to interact, we are on Twitter. We're on Facebook there. Twitter is at HTBVids. Facebook's at facebook.com/hitthebooks. And you can always reach out to us via email at hitthebooksvids@gmail.com. Again, that's hitthebooksvids, VIDS, @gmail.com. Before we get into the show, I just want to give out a shout out to the web designer for the webpage freshcomics.us.
Oh, yeah.
This is a resource we use all the time. We try to give them a shout out every episode, but it's basically what we use to tell you what the new upcoming comics of the week are from the major companies and sometimes the minor companies if time allows. But they do a great job over there. It's a really great resource and a really great website. Again, that's freshcomics.us. We had a little correspondence with them via email very recently where I was trying to look up some old comics and had issues because they didn't have the old kind of calendar system that they used to have where you could look it up by week and all that stuff and kind of get an idea of when the comic came out and who the creators were and all that stuff. After the redesign, this changed. They no longer had the calendar. So I sent them an email saying, hey, I really love the site, but I really do miss having that calendar, that way to quickly kind of find comics, and what week they came out and what comics came along with them. And he wrote me back basically the next day, like saying, that's great input. I really appreciate it. I'll start working on it this weekend and get it out pretty soon. And I was like, wow, that's a guy who cares.
Yeah.
So just a big shout out to them. Like clearly the designer for it and the person that maintains it, he's doing a great job and he's really dedicated to it. And it was really cool to see some feedback that quickly, because they had a little email box on the webpage, and usually when you use those things on a webpage you don't hear back from them ever. And this guy emailed me the next day, so that was really cool to see. Big shout out to freshcomics.us. Really love the site. It's a really great resource and we're going to be using it today, so look forward to that. So Emery, what have you been reading?
What have I been reading? Let me count the things I hate.
Well, that's not a good sign.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's really not. Oh, God, Marvel, why? Okay, I've been reading and getting myself caught up on X-Men Red. And I regret it.
So correct me if I'm wrong, there's 3 X-Men color editions at the moment, right? There's X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue, and X-Men Red. Are they all still continuing?
I think X-Men Red has wrapped up, and they're about to start either another #1 for X-Men Red or X-Men Alpha, whatever they plan on calling it.
Gotcha.
There's also X-Men Gold. I'm not sure if that one is still ongoing. I think it is. X-Men Blue, I think that one wrapped up pretty, not too terribly long ago.
Okay.
But yeah, I think X-Men Gold might be the only one that's still ongoing.
That's surprising because wasn't Red the most recent one?
Yes.
So I think X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue were basically going for about a year before Red started, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. I remember X-Men Red started with some pretty good variant covers, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was the main covers, but I remember there's a lot of good artwork coming out initially for them.
Yeah, the artwork was good. The story, not so much.
Aw, that's a bummer. I never want to see an X-Men book fail.
I also never want to see an X-Men
Makes
book
me
fail,
sad.
especially when it has some of my favorite characters in it.
It's like seeing a bad Batman. You never want to see a bad version of Batman.
You never do.
Yeah.
But then you realize, Batfleck. Oh, it's like, I understand what you're trying to do, and you kind of look cool, but man, something about this whole thing is off.
It's the chin. I'm telling you. It's the butt chin.
There's something about it. It's like, if the aesthetic that you were going for makes me want to act like I'm a henchman who's trying to deck you in the face.
At least he didn't pee himself. Kevin Smith, we're looking at you. I love you, Kevin Smith. Don't take it.
We love you. Looking forward to the reboot of Jay and Silent Bob. But man,
it was a little rough there. A little rough.
bit.
A little rough.
I was catching up on that, and the writing's bad. Almost as bad as the Return of Wolverine.
Aw. I'm guessing that's the other issue you read this week.
Yep.
Sorry, buddy.
Apparently, amnesia again.
Because what's Wolverine known for other than losing the woman he loves? Amnesia.
Yeah, he's known for losing the memories that he lost already. What the fuck are we doing?
It's probably one of the most overused subplots in all of storytelling, let alone Wolverine's storytelling, where it seems to be the only subplot. I've forgotten who I am.
It's like,
but I have claws and I want to murder everyone.
Like, at what point are we going to say, maybe it's not just amnesia, maybe it's just recurring Alzheimer's and he just keeps regenerating that part of his brain? Like, what the fuck, guys?
That's a pretty good theory. I think someone should forward that. Yeah.
Hire me, Marvel. I will fix all of your stories. All of them. Even Ironheart.
I personally think he just pretends he doesn't remember anything. So he can get away with constantly doing stupid and terrible shit.
Oh, that's just sociopathic.
That's what I think.
Oh, I don't remember anything.
Remember when you
Or
killed
do
all
I?
your children? No, I don't remember that at all.
Did I really do that?
Remember when you murdered like half the woman you ever loved? No, that never happened. My name's Logan, not Logan. That's how it feels to me. I don't know.
My name is Logan. Really?
You realize those are the same name, right? Shink! Oh, who is this dead person in front of me?
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
No one will ever know, bub.
As long as you stab them fast enough. God.
Yeah. Sorry, I love Wolverine, and I hate it when lazy writers get Wolverine, because they always fuck it up.
You know what the bravest thing that a writer ever did to Wolverine? Actually tell you what memories it was that he fucking lost.
Yeah.
Origins,
No.
while not perfect, it was probably one of the boldest things you could ever do for a character like Wolverine.
Yeah.
Is like the thing that you've always wanted is like, you know what? Here it is.
And then another kind of titular tale, Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
That's another one where he remembers everything. And it's a big problem that he remembers everything.
It's like he wishes he could forget. It's like you wish that he could forget, because the things he remembers doing by the time that story starts, ooh, I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Yeah, not great. Poor guy. So that's what a good writer can do with Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is not the case.
No.
Oh.
Not only that, we gave him a new power.
Oh, his glowy claws?
Yeah.
Toaster oven claws?
Get ready to turn on the coils on your ovens, kids.
You did show me that panel. Where
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous, where he drew his claws in his arm and he had like perfectly straight
red
like
lines.
red highlighter lines. So the artist just basically took a highlighter tool and drew it on there, and I'm like, oh my god, it looks so terrible and dumb.
It's like, are we not going to acknowledge the fact that he just, in the panel before, had his claws heated up enough to ignite gasoline on contact? When you take something that hot into you physically, not only should you be howling, especially if you're Wolverine, because you should be howling all the time.
I would if I could remember it.
I forgot how to howl. Why am I Batman? Wait, no. Wolverine should sound like this because he should be healing his fucking vocal cords every fucking time he smokes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like his arms with his red hot claws inside should be burning his flesh off.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Yeah, yep.
Sorry, guys.
Yep.
I know you were trying something new.
This is a fail.
Didn't work out.
Like, it'd be one thing, and mind you, I haven't gotten myself all the way caught up. If there's some kind of attachment that they put in him, as opposed to it just being, oh, I'm getting real mad. Oh, my claws are getting red hot as a result.
Hot.
And that was the thing that's real dumb. It's like, if you're going to make his claws glowing, either they ought to be glowing all the time, or they should not be glowing at all. To make those I pop them and they're regular, like they're kind of warm blades because they've been inside my body this whole time. But
Yeah,
red hot when
know.
I get mad?
Does that mean his bone claws would get hot if he didn't have adamantium in him?
You know, it's unclear.
So his claws just come out and they're like all scorched and shit.
It's like, I'm just
like,
wondering.
oh yeah, I have bone fucking claws naturally.
Right.
This doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, right. This is metal fused to bone, pre-existing bone, that should also be probably burning him from the inside fucking out as a result. God, this is so dumb. This is so dumb.
So, if you get past the glowing claws, is there any redeeming feature to the story?
Wolverine is a really good dude. And by really good, I
when
mean...
he can't remember all the people he murdered, bub.
Wolverine has gotten so good that when a girl tries to make out with him, when, you know, she realizes that, oh my God, Logan, is like, you do all of these things for these other people and you're such a hero. Why doesn't someone save you?
Hot.
He is so good that he will break off that makeout session and tell you, I don't do it for that. What the fuck?
Except when you always do it for that. You have,
I don't know who
you have a rap sheet of about 600 women that you have boned after rescuing and then killed.
Which is fine, since it's over the course of a couple centuries. You know what's not fine?
Real talk.
Bitch, I wish you would forget core parts of your character. Real talk. Why? Why have we gotten to the point where his amnesia hit him so hard that he remembers that he doesn't remember? He completely forgets how, much of an animal he is when it comes to approaching women.
So I don't understand why he always remembers like the everyday stuff. Like he remembers how to put on his clothes. He remembers how to, go to the bathroom and use the appropriate restroom. He remembers how to read.
Narrative retrograde amnesia is always very convenient.
Plot device.
I fucking dare someone to write a character who has amnesia so fucking bad. It's like they're a 40-year-old infant.
Oh, well. It's kind of like that little cartoon where all the people at the business table suggest something to the boss, and then the last guy says something commonsensical, and they toss him out the window. It's like the first one, amnesia. The next one, murders girlfriend. The next one, murders the other X-Men. Last one, something new and unique. Yeah. Ridiculous. I love Wolverine, but boy, they struggle to write him sometimes.
These writers
feel like it's the one everybody should want to write.
Right.
Like
the
Wolverine, X-Men, Spider-Man. Like those should be the ones everybody's gunning for.
And they should be the easiest to write for, too. They're decades worth of material.
Yeah.
That is like, okay, let's bring that thing back. Go from there. Find this little thing over here that wasn't really touched on. Expand that a little bit. Should be fine. Should be simple. Trying to restart the character from a narrative standpoint to where you not only have rebooted their story, kind of, but you've rebooted them. Or no. Actually, no, this isn't a reboot. This isn't a reboot. This is not a reboot. If it's not a reboot, why the fuck are we giving retrograde amnesia back to Wolverine?
Because it's easy. It's like you were given Batman, who has been around for almost 80 years now, and has probably the best rogues gallery in all of comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And you decide to take away his Batarang and give him a boxing glove arrow.
Whoa.
Give him amnesia. And then give him a fight against the villain, the White Rabbit, which was basically a Playboy bunny made into a villain.
Yeah.
In a new 52 book called The Dark Knight. That's what that feels like to me. That's how dumb and nonsensical and sort of lazy it sounds.
A boxing glove arrow?
Yeah, it's just one of those ridiculous gadgets that Batman would obviously never need.
Right. That thing from one of his friends that he would again...
Yeah, the one he hates.
Yeah. The thing that he would never need because he's not an archer.
He's also not an idiot.
He is a straight... He doesn't need a boxing glove arrow. That's what his fists are for.
And Wolverine doesn't need toaster elements as claws.
Right. Claws stab people. That is
At least he can solder their injuries closed on the way out. That way he's not technically murdering everyone.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like turning all...
Lightsabers?
Lightsabers. That sounds like making it so that anyone he stabs never bleeds.
We don't need an R rating.
Sure don't.
Damn it, Disney.
God damn it,
Stop
Disney.
Stop it.
Stop. You know what? Once Upon a Deadpool was one thing. Once Upon a Deadpool, I can understand.
How about we take Logan
Mm-hmm.
and we make it a G-rated movie
Why would we do that?
Instead of violence, we just hear him yelling a lot, and then we just see some bodies with no blood or anything like that. That would be awful.
Why would we do that?
Because we're Disney. Ha-ha!
Get out.
We're inclusive for everyone. Ha-ha!
We want infants to go see Wolverine movies.
Ha-ha!
Gosh. What are we doing with all this blood around here?
Speaking of Disney, Kingdom Hearts 3 is almost out here. Very close. Will we see any Marvel characters in it?
Maybe as DLC.
Because I would like to see some Disney characters be mauled by Wolverine. That would be pretty awesome.
Whoa!
Oh my god. It could be so good.
Just imagine someone like Sora, who's a completely original Square Enix design, and then right next to him you see some 5'3" Canadian asshole with the brightest yellow costume you've ever seen, claws coming out of his hands, and then everyone playing this is wondering, why are there bright, shiny stars coming out whenever he hits something? Disney, what did you do? Why would Disney do this?
Yeah. I'm intrigued. We'll see.
Also, I really want to see someone like Wolverine stab someone like Buzz Lightyear.
That would be awesome. Oh, well. Did you read anything else this week?
What else did I read? I thought I read at least like one other thing. Whatever it was I read, it clearly was not of any consequence.
All right. Well, I guess
or it wasn't American.
Wow. Xenophobe you.
I listen here, sir. You will not find a bigger fan of Japanese, French,
You weeb.
or even Italian comics. I don't know why I counted to 4, even though those were 3 things. Don't look at me like that.
Oh. Just concerned about your mental health there. Think you're getting some amnesia for the plot device we're going to use in the future.
Hey, man, I'm already forgetting what comics I read. Maybe I'll forget who I am. No, seriously, where did I come from, though?
You're Canadian. But seriously.
Oh.
Am I Australian? I feel like I was Australian once.
He was in that fucking failed Pride of the X-Men bullshit.
His design was cool, though.
It was. I love that brown and tan.
Oh, yeah. So, I read a couple books, and then I finally got Injustice done with and complete.
Ooh, okay.
Injustice 2, that is. I guess first I'll talk about Young Justice. That's the Brian Michael Bendis comic that we've been talking about a little bit. I read the first issue of it. I'm very encouraged by the dialogue. The dialogue's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The artwork is great. I really enjoy the artwork. I like seeing Tim Drake on a team.
Hooray!
However, there's some things in it where I'm just like, whoa, what led to this decision?
Yeah.
And why was it necessary at all? One of those quirks, this isn't a spoiler because we already know Tim Drake's in it. And we already know that Damian is on the Teen Titans. But why is the younger Robin leading the Teen Titans, who are all clearly older, while Tim Drake, who is clearly way older, is leading the Young Justice team, which is comprised of basically children?
Oh my god.
It's a very strange situation.
So dumb.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. The Teen Titans
Yes.
are being led by a child,
Yes.
and the group of children
Yes.
is basically being parented by a teen?
Yes.
DC, what is you doing?
So it's a weird situation. It's kind of fun seeing some of the cast members. The cast members include Tim Drake, obviously, who,
Yeah.
I know you love Tim Drake, and I'm a big fan of Tim Drake. Obviously, I'm a Dick Grayson fanboy, so I'd never
You
like,
never put him over
never,
Dick.
never. Dick is always at the top of my mind. But
You would.
But the writing's been great so far. So kudos to Brian Michael Bendis. He still knows how to write dialogue.
Most of the time.
We have Wonder Girl in there. We have Impulse. We have Jonah Hex's daughter, which is kind of a weird inclusion, but she's there.
Didn't know he had one of those.
More or less as a comic relief, which is kind of weird. Like, the whole time I read her lines, I'm just picturing a rootin' tootin' young girl with a shotgun who's gonna fight off crime with her shotgun from her daddy Jonah. It's real weird, but it's kind of fun, Like, I don't begrudge them because it works within the context of the ridiculous team. It kind of works.
Okay. It's a little silly, but comics.
Another character is kind of another issue I have with the book. Now, it may be that I haven't been keeping up close enough because there's just so much content, but there's a Green Lantern on the team. So at first I was like, okay, there's a Green Lantern on the team. Is it like a young version of Jessica Cruz? Like, we're just going to ignore the fact that Jessica Cruz is an adult and or Simon Baz or something like that.
Right.
No, apparently it's an entirely different new Green Lantern, which brings our total up to 8 Green Lanterns on Earth right now, which is fucking ridiculous. There's one per sector
of the universe.
Per sector. Not even planet, sector
of the universe.
We now have 8 fucking Green Lanterns
from one planet.
And most of them are on that fucking planet at the moment. It's outrageous.
They keep giving them rings.
It's like Batman. It's like everybody gets a ring and everybody gets bat shit. You want a bat ear? You want a bat ear? Everybody gets bat ears.
There can only be one Batman, but Batwomen, we'll make those left and right.
We got Batgirl, we got Batwoman, we got Blue. Oh, what was her name? New 52, kind of looked like Nightwing when Nightwing was dead.
Oh,
I can't remember her name. Blue something. She had a big gun, which kind of antithetical to the whole Batman thing.
Yeah.
We have the Signal. We have what's the African robot guy?
Batwing,
who's basically Iron Man and Black Panther combined, but in a bat costume.
Pretty much.
We have Jason Todd's Red Hood, who wears a bat symbol. We have Tim Drake's Red Robin. We have Nightwing, obviously. We have Damian as the newest-ish Robin, depending on whether Carrie Kelly exists at the moment or not.
Please don't.
There's Spoiler, who is technically a bat character. There's Azrael, which always wears a bat symbol for no apparent reason, as a saint or as a patron member of the Saint Dumas. Yeah,
I used to be Batman once,
so now I wear the bat symbol all the time, even though it's completely inappropriate. And then
isn't he a sword wielder?
Yeah, he murders people too.
Isn't Batman's son a sword wielder?
Yeah.
Doesn't he murder people too?
Oh, he used to, but he totally doesn't murder people now.
Totally doesn't. Oh my god.
So yeah, and Green Lantern is becoming the new Batman Inc. There's just everyone's a fucking Green Lantern now. for no rhyme or reason. I thought it was kind of cool when they started to split them up a little bit. They had Guy Gardner become a Red Lantern, which I thought it was appropriate. They had Kyle Rayner become Space Jesus, and Green Lantern, New Guardians, where he became the White Lantern. They had kind of Jon Stewart kind of leading the team. They had Hal Jordan kind of redeeming himself after becoming a Yellow Lantern and the whole Parallax storyline. And I thought that was cool. I thought it was a good use. I still thought, it's still kind of too many Green Lanterns, especially after they added Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz later on. But, I thought it was kind of cool that they were finally kind of differentiating them a little bit. And I think the biggest problem with the other Lantern Corps is that they don't have a human on their team. Like, the Green Lantern Corps figured out that humans on this one planet are so fucking good at their job that we had to make 8 of them. Meanwhile, every other Lantern Corps is like, I don't know about these humans. I don't know. They don't seem to be doing a whole lot except when they're fucking kicking all of our asses.
I'm sure we could give a Yellow Lantern ring to someone on Earth.
I think the
Batman.
I think the one exception is Necron's guy, the Black Hand. I can't remember his actual name, but he's technically human. But he's literally the only Black Lantern, so...
Right, because they're zombies.
Yeah, it's like Larfleeze. Okay, I get it why he doesn't have a human lantern in his core. Because it's literally only him.
Unless he decides to marry a human, and then he'll just own them. Mine! They're mine. You get this orange ring, but remember... It's mine.
So, done with that spiel. But yeah, it's weird. We don't know the identity, or at least I don't know the identity of this new, young, I'm assuming childish Green Lantern. I'm kind of hoping it's like a foreshadowing of the Green Lantern that's in Batman Beyond.
Oh.
Maybe it's that lantern, but as like a young kid. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe.
Maybe they're still a weeb.
It's still way too many, and I think it's weird that they hide in a little Green Lantern mech suit and change their voice, but to each their own. And then we have, let's see here, I got Tim Drake, Jonah Hex's daughter, whose name I can't remember, Wonder Girl, Impulse, weird Green Lantern guy, and then I'll say Superboy, the kind of classic 90s Superboy, shows up at the end in a really kind of cool and intriguing fashion. So I'm not going to spoil it because I want you to read it.
Don't call him Superboy. He's the Metropolis Kid.
Yeah. So, but it's actually a pretty interesting interaction they have at the end there. Although, again, because I haven't been able to keep up with all these ridiculous events, like, I read No Justice, but like, I haven't caught up on the Dark Side Wars stuff yet. I haven't caught up on all the convergence bullshit that they pulled, and like it's such a weird mix up, and there's so many versions of the same character in existence at the moment. It's hard to follow what the hell's going on. But one other thing that's pretty cool is they kind of re-involved Gem World, which if you've ever read Swords and Sorcery, which is a DC book starring Amethyst, it's a pretty cool like kind of fantasy world book. It's usually involved in some kind of magic book, like a Zatanna book or something like that, where you really get to interact with them a little bit. But basically, they live in like an alternate world / dimension, called Gem World, and every kingdom is a different type of gem, like amethyst and opal and all these stuff. And it's basically just like a kind of over-the-top fantasy world with magic involved. But amethyst makes an appearance at the end there, and that's pretty cool. I mean, she's in it because she's on the cover, but it's a pretty cool interaction at the end that kind of sets up for maybe a really unique story going forward. Not unlike Jeff Johns' ending for this first issue of the new Shazam. So there's something to grab onto there. I'm going to keep reading it. I really liked it. It's one of the Wonder books, which I think are the ones aimed for younger audiences.
Oh,
But it
okay.
actually it's not, babying people. It's actually kind of fun and enjoyable, and it's what you would want it to be. So
Right. Okay.
I'm enjoying it. Kudos to Brian Michael Bendis, and man, I wish I could remember who the artist was on it. It might be Jorge Jimenez, but I'm not sure. But yeah, great work, both on the art side and the dialogue side. It was really fun and really entertaining. The other book I read was the first issue of Justice League Dark, the newest one. I am a sucker for the occult books in the DC universe.
Yeah.
I love the Swamp Thing books. I love the Animal Thing books. I love the Constantine books, the Satana books, the Justice League Dark books I've always enjoyed.
Maybe some Etrigan here. and there.
Etrigan is the one that I kind of struggle with because for whatever reason, his story is always the same. I'm a demon and I'm not a demon, but I'm a demon. It sucks. I'm ugly, but I'm not, but I'm ugly. It's like, okay, I've heard this enough. I don't really care anymore.
Like, oh no, this Jekyll Hyde thing just keeps happening to me.
Yeah. So this book is really cool. Basically, it's you want to read Justice League No Justice, the Scott Snyder 4-issue series there, to kind of get an idea of what's going on. But basically, there's this kind of source tree. There's 4 of them that happen in the storyline for No Justice, where all of these teams have to team up and kind of isolate these trees before these kind of interdimensional, basically universe eaters eat them and destroy all the life force in the galaxy or universe, whatever the context was. Again, this is right after Dark Knight's Metal, and so there's just tons of dumb bullshit that had to be tied into it. So technically, all of this bullshit is sourced from Dark Knight's Metal. I wish it wasn't, because it would be a lot more coherent and enjoyable if it wasn't. But
Yeah.
and that, ironically, Dark Knight's Metal and the No Justice is the stuff I'm actually caught up on. So, but this one was actually a pretty enjoyable book. Basically, the story follows Wonder Woman, who's trying to create a new kind of occult faction of the Justice League to kind of address this source tree, because the source tree is causing a bunch of havoc in the world of magic. Like,
Interesting.
the first thing you're introduced to is Zatanna can't control her spells. So when she uses her magic, terrible shit happens and people get killed. So
Ooh.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. There is a little bit of a comic side to it, which I do like on the occult books. They have like Bobo, the chimp detective, helping out, which is
Detective Chimp.
yeah. They have the pocket dimension bar, the Oblivion bar, which is pretty fun. This one's being written by James Tynion IV, who has done great work, and I really enjoy his writing. The artwork is excellent. The artwork is great. Again, I wish I could remember who the artist was in the book, but the art is excellent, and I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to read some fun occult books. I think, honestly, there's been kind of a deficit in the occult books since Gotham by Midnight ended, which is a late New 52 title that I thought was excellent. And I think they haven't really recaptured the fun of the kind of scary, adult, creepy side of things quite as much.
Spooky, scary side.
Yeah, so I recommend the book. It's just kind of cool. You kind of see kind of things flipped on their head, whereas normally you have Zatanna kind of trying to recruit everybody for a good cause. In this book, it's kind of the opposite, where Wonder Woman's trying to recruit everybody to the cause, and Constantine's sort of helping her out, but it's hard to tell because Constantine likes to kind of con people.
Yes, he does.
And Zatanna is the one who's resistant to helping out and joining because of how the tree is screwing up her powers, and
Right.
the consequences of the past, what's happened with her father, what's happened, if you're familiar with Zatanna, her father was killed by this kind of celestial demon thing after some incidents, and at least in the current storyline with Constantine.
Right.
So some drama there, especially since they were lovers at a few points in history.
Added to the list of people that Constantine has slept with.
Hashtag save Constantine.
Hashtag please save Constantine.
Matt Ryan, get on it. DC Universe, we got perfect opportunity. I will buy your fucking app right now.
Yes. Also, you've been generating some goodwill with, being a side character in other people's shows. This is the time. Get your own fucking show, dude. Do it.
So good. So good. Start a Kickstarter or something, or
anything.
Patreon, whatever. I'll donate to it. I don't care.
Right?
But yeah, it's really fun. If you want a really good DC occult book, I always feel like the occult books are better than the mainstream books because they have a little bit more creative freedom. Whereas I feel like the mainstream books have to stick to this ridiculous canon,
Oh, yeah.
Which is sometimes a little too much for characters to really bear and be fleshed out. So yeah, that's what I read. And then Injustice 2, I finally got around to finishing it and knocking it all out. It was a slow kind of process because I am a difficulty fiend. I love playing at the hardest difficulty in things, especially in fighting games.
Because you are a man.
I just like learning all of the systems for all the characters and like getting pretty decent at it. And
yeah.
I enjoy the challenge. If it's not challenging, I'm not basically coasting through it for the story, which in these kind of games, it's a good thing. But yeah, for me, I still just I like to punish myself a little.
The Dark Souls approach.
I'm sure we'll do a full review on it. I know you've beaten it already.
Oh, yeah.
And you got it pretty early when it came out and all that stuff.
Yeah, I did.
I'm pretty late to the game. But I really enjoyed the story. Obviously, the graphics are a huge improvement. The battle systems are pretty solid. I feel like a few characters are kind of missed, and a few characters probably didn't need to be in the game, especially DLC characters. I feel like it's awesome that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are in it and that Hellboy's in it. I don't think we needed Raiden Sub-Zero. I think those slots could have been used much more effectively. The Atom is pretty cool, but I feel like he could have been in the story,
He could have. He should have. But they didn't. I wish, honestly, that instead of doing something like, we're going to put Raiden in here, and also give you a skin for Black Lightning for free.
Yeah.
Just
give us Black Lightning.
Yeah,
give us a
Raiden.
Just give us a Raiden skin if you need. But give us Black Lightning, then give us a Raiden skin.
Right.
If Sub-Zero is a skin for Captain Cold, so be it. That's fine with me. I don't need fucking Mortal Kombat characters in my Injustice game. I just don't.
Or a cold character separate from a cold character.
Mr. Freeze is pretty cool addition.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze was a cool skin.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that, especially because they knew these were two people who used cold guns.
Yeah.
That's fine. That makes sense. But Sub-Zero though.
But yeah, back to the story, because I don't want to get too much into the weeds with the game until we do a proper review. Storyline, I think, is a huge improvement from the first one. The first one was just kind of like the typical tropes. We crossed universes to solve our problems, and we have these super pills that conveniently give us Superman's powers, so we can fight toe-to-toe with him.
But
apparently not toe-to-toe enough to bring him down. We need the real Superman from the other universe to come do that for us.
Right, because those pills don't let us do laser beams from our fucking eyes.
Except when fucking Alfred breaks Superman's back in the Batcave. Read the Injustice comic. It's pretty good. Except for a few moments. AKA the death of Nightwing.
Oh!
And that was the horrible moment in the Injustice comic book, because the game makes it seem like Damian murdered Nightwing. Straight up murdered him, took his mantle, probably while working for Superman or to prove his worth to Superman or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is a heavy thing to kind of weigh down the characters and the plot with, and it's really cool and interesting. I can accept that version of, Nightwing's death, Maybe Nightwing's trying to stop him from joining Superman, and Damian says, fuck you, and uses a sword and kills him or something like that, and Dick won't fight back because he's trying to save him. I can totally get down with that. What I can't get down with is Damian jokingly throwing a fucking escrima stick at the back of Dick's head, hitting him in the head so he passes out, falls down, and conveniently lands his neck on a stone that's on the prison ground. and kills him in front of everybody, including several characters with super speed
That could have
who
prevented this whole thing.
who could have saved him from hitting the fucking rock. Or being hit in the first place. Fucking stupid. The worst writing I've ever seen. And I hate it. And I don't know why DC hates Nightwing. I fucking hate it. Why? You could have done something so interesting and cool with that subplot, but you fucking wasted it. And I hate you for it. All right. Spiel done.
Yep. Every time, DC. Just because you, for some reason, feel the need to play chess and you don't have an opponent does not mean you should be playing chess against yourself.
And this is not the, Mortal Kombat guy's fault. This is a separate writing team that was given a little bit of leeway to kind of interpret what was going on in the Injustice world.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, on that point, they kind of dropped the ball. Everything else was kind of fun and interesting, kind of a, an interesting what-if situation. But
yeah. Like,
that
it's all what if.
That pissed me off because I was like, they clearly illustrate in the game that Damian murdered him. It wasn't just like, oh, catch, and then he fell at a fucking rock, like a stone like that big, and broke his neck. I'm like,
it's like, I think of
seriously?
I think of that rock whenever there's a Batman versus Robin fight and Robin says, "It was an accident." And it's like,
jeez. It's so stupid. So dumb. It's really, I hope that if there's an Injustice 3, they kind of retcon that.
Please?
And make it so Damian actually murdered him.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of retconned how Damian left Batman in the first place.
A little bit.
The game actually shows you the moment that Damian commits to joining Superman and leaving Batman.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting. However, and probably sets up a storyline where Damian can kill Nightwing down the line.
Right.
Because Batman seems happy to work alongside him at the moment. And if Damian had already killed Nightwing by hitting him in the head with a fucking Escrima stick, I don't think he'd be so ready to help him, in their little fight to Arkham.
Fuck no.
So I kind of appreciated that from Injustice
Yeah.
2, and I hope they kind of delve into that a little bit more just to give me some
little bit.
closure. Because that was so dumb, and I hate it so much. But yeah, Injustice 2, it actually has a developed storyline. Basically, the plot is this new threat and Brainiac arrives. Supergirl arrives a little bit earlier and is being hidden away by Wonder Woman and Black Adam, and they're kind of manipulating her into thinking that Batman is this horrible influence and that he's imprisoned her cousin Superman and, basically give her a bunch of bullshit. Meanwhile, Batman is kind of creating his own kind of super team to kind of replace the Justice League and keep things going. Shit hits the fan when Brainiac arrives, yada, yada, yada. Superman is released, yada, yada, yada. They team up, try to save the day, yada, yada, yada. Is he redeemed? Play the game and find out.
Hey.
But yeah, it's pretty good. I think the endings kind of fell a little flat at the very, very end, after the Brainiac stuff's all done and everything. I think they could have done a little better with the ending, specifically Batman's story. But it was still really enjoyable, and I liked it a lot, and I liked having all the new characters. Wish Nightwing was still in the game. I think Lady Shiva was kind of cool. They could have had that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, really solid game. Really enjoyed it. Still enjoying it. If you're still playing the game, hop on some ranked matches with me. Go ahead. Or send your AI team at me. Come at me, bro. But yeah, really enjoying the game. And hope there's a Injustice 3 because, quite frankly, seeing the new Mortal Kombat trailer stuff and the promotional stuff, that does not look like a good game, folks. They took away long combos. They made the health bar real fucking small. And they made it so you can take away basically a third of their remaining health with an X-ray move, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's basically all like pomp and,
circumstance.
presence without any of the kind of depth that it really gained in Mortal Kombat X and Mortal Kombat 9.
The skill that people had built up.
I mean, the jump from Mortal Kombat 9 to Mortal Kombat X and the jump from Injustice 1 and Injustice 2 was drastic, both graphically and systematically. Like, everything just got pushed to the next level, and I loved it. This one is not pushing it to the next level. In fact, I think it's taking several steps back from what I'm seeing, and it's very concerning, and I hope NetherRealms, I hope you kind of get it together for Injustice 3.
And you don't like the gear system.
It's not that I don't like it. I don't like having it in ranked matches and like competitive circumstances. Like having it for the story and for like ladder matches and stuff like that, like the multiverse simulation stuff.
Yeah.
That's completely cool with me. I'm totally down. Any single player stuff, I'm totally down for. I don't like it in the competitive atmosphere. I think everybody should just have base moves, base attributes. Like, if you want a character to be fully fleshed out, just design them that way from the get-go. Don't make me unlock 600 different extra moves and extra armor that'll speed me up enough to complete a combo, and all this, like, bullshit. Like, to add a Nightwing to the game that you have to get his fucking staff and add it to Robin. And so you get basically half of Nightwing's moves from the original game in Damien's body.
Exactly half.
And it fucking sucks. I'm just honest, it sucks. Like the Eskimo sticks were some of the most fun parts, just seeing him flash those Eskimo sticks and then build it into a huge long string combo. It was just really fun. And then switching it up to the bow staff and mid combo and wrecking house with it, it was fun.
Like proper Nightwing.
And I don't think that's the case now, and I feel like some of the best Green Lantern moves are, you have to fucking unlock them and find them in a fucking mother box, which is basically a fucking, free to play gimmick, I don't like it. I'm totally cool with new skins and armor and all this stuff, in a non-competitive context, but the character's moves should be there. Like, it should just be ready, built to go, and balanced. You shouldn't have to get all these extra things to make your character even stand a chance against other characters. Like, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah. It's loot boxes.
Yeah.
While free.
It's 100% loot boxes.
Yeah.
They don't have to be free. You can buy some.
I mean, you can buy some.
And they remind you.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you can just continuously grind the fucking multiverse.
Yeah. But long story short, a lot to love. Really love the game. Wish the armor stuff wasn't as much in the competitive context of the game. But I can kind of see how it adds another layer to flesh out, especially in your AI fights and stuff like that. I don't like that I think the armor system could be refined a little bit. I think it's a little bit too convoluted and too, just make the armor at the level that it should be at. Like, don't make me have to spend these regen coins to bring it back to level 30 when I hit level 30 finally, Don't keep my character's armor capped at whatever level I'm at, instead of letting me earn epic armor and then eventually leveling up to the point where I can use it. I would rather do that and have that as kind of an incentive to work up to that level.
Right.
To wear that armor rather than have a level 1 armor and then have to spend a regen coin and all this other bullshit to
it's grinding plus gambling.
Yeah, it really is. There's a heavy dose of gambling in this game.
Yeah.
But again, we'll make a proper review that covers all of these things. Sound design, music. I think there's a big problem with some of NetherRealm Studios sound design. I think they're recycling a little bit too much and not updating a few things that I feel like could be easily remedied,
More of that in the review.
Yeah. So, with that, let's get into the news. No, did the content match the drapes this week? I don't believe we read the comics. Well, I take that back. Young Justice #1. We did read it.
You did read that.
So that was the variant of the week, I believe 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
We chose the Superboy cover. That was really great. That comic was excellent. I really enjoyed it. Really looking forward. I covered it enough when we were talking about the comics, so I won't hash over it too much. But really excellent start. The content definitely did match the drapes. Those drapes being a very sexy Superboy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that boy.
So I take that back.
Oh yeah.
So big shout out to Brian Michael Bendis, doing a good job so far. Really looking forward to it. So first item on the news. We have a lot of news this week, a lot of it financially based, but we do have quite a bit of stuff there. First up, Shazam, the movie that everybody is looking forward to because it will be awesome and great and wonderful, and Zachary Levi looks great.
It had better be.
But they're definitely not breaking the streak of DC just spending every dollar they can. Shazam's suit, which they made 10 of, cost $1 million a piece. This comes from an article by Jacob Aller, who is writing for Sci-Fi Wire. Basically, he says in here, the exterior suit is a spandex suit that goes over a musculature, that's a hard word to say, suit, and each muscle has been sculpted on the body of Zack, so it accents and highlights his shape and size. There's a ton of electronics involved as the central bolt and gauntlets light up. There's actually a battery pack in the back. We luckily had a cape to cover it all up. I don't know where we would have put all that stuff, and it is remotely lit through a switchboard operator, which is a separate individual. So it goes more into the specifics. It takes 16 weeks to build the costume. They basically had to do a full body scan of Zack and then hope that he didn't get fat or skinny during that time, so it would, obviously fit him. He had to do a strict workout regimen and keep to a strict diet to keep it going. If it's worth it, great. I would definitely take the practical effects over, spending $40 million on CG.
Yes.
That looks horrible, which is what they've been doing in the past. So I guess if that's the exchange, I'm okay with it. But I feel like parts of this suit didn't have to be as over the top as this. Like, I know, like, for Thor's outfit in the Marvel movies, they had to build like a whole cooling system in it for him because it was just too hot, specifically like the early versions of it before he had, when he had the long wig and the big body armor and all that stuff. They had to actually make a cooling system in there because he'd overheat and basically pass out if they didn't have it running. So,
and that was after he had to actually slim down a bit because. Yeah.
And that did not.
He knows how to bulk.
Yeah, and that did not cost $1 million.
No.
The fact that this pseudo muscle suit with LED lights in the front and the gauntlets, it cost $1 million. I feel like something's not adding up here. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but
it sounds like a lot of this suit by itself. You could probably, or you are most likely going to see cosplayers make the same suit and not need to ask for that extra stuff that equals out to $1 million because they don't have a cocaine habit they're supporting.
Oh, DC. Please change.
DC, double cocaine.
So next up in the news, this one comes from Newsarama. Most of our news items do come from Newsarama, so give them a shout out there. They are a pretty good website. I wish that their automated advertisement videos weren't as bad as they were because they just fill up the whole page and screw up the whole web page when you're trying to read it.
Every time.
Other than that, awesome site. This article by George Marston, it's talking about how DC Comics is launching its Be a Hero, Read a Book campaign to put superheroes in public libraries. Basically, the concept is they're going to basically donate a bunch of one-off stories and like promotional material, basically advertisement, let's face it, to all these public libraries to kind of incentivize children to kind of join in, read more stories and specifically graphic novels, and kind of reach out to a new generation, which I think is a good thing. I wish it was a little bit more than just like advertisement pamphlets and bullshit like that, but yeah, I'll take what I can get. I really wish that they did kind of the old thing that they did during World War II, where they sent out comic books to the frontline troops.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be a great way. My dream is to kind of get that program going again in some way, shape, or form, because I think that was the best way to kind of influence, future readership, because all these, young, most of them teenage men, came home from war, having read all of these comics and enjoyed, seeing Captain America and Batman and Superman, and Wonder Woman and all these, characters they probably wouldn't have even seen or interacted with before.
Yeah.
And kind of dive into these stories, and it kind of opened the kind of world for the future of comic books, especially towards the 60s and 70s, where things finally started getting darker and kind of taking on darker tones as these GIs were finally mature enough and experienced enough to start writing their own stories and stuff. So I don't know. I think the library incentive is a good thing, but I think there's a few things that they've dropped along the line that could also help boost the industry a little bit and kind of fortify its base for the future. And whether you like it or not, the United States is still in several wars. We like to pretend we're not, but we are.
We could still definitely be supporting our troops by giving them some, good reading material, assuming it's good.
Yeah. And I'm a vet. I was in the Army. I was an infantryman. They would have these little pamphlets at the PX and stuff, but it's basically advertisement for products that they would give to us. And it was basically Superman uses blah 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 toothpaste, blah blah blah. And then it shows it's like that Snickers ad that always tricks me when I come across it. There's a Snickers ad that's notorious in the comics right now, where you flip the page and you think it's continuing the story you're reading, and you're like, whoa, when did Flash get here? What's going on? And then you get to the end of it and you realize it's a fucking Snickers ad, and you're like, God damn it. It was that sort of thing. But yeah, a good initiative. Always great to support local libraries and kind of get more kids into the comic books and reading anything, whether it's graphic novels or something else.
Oh, yeah.
Next up in the news, DC and Target have stricken a deal for an exclusive 100-page giant issue of a kind of unique DC Primal Age story. This is based on a Funko toy line, which is kind of a weird situation. It's kind of like the motorcycle girls that they kind of had going with statues, and then they made a comic for it. Comic's terrible. I wouldn't recommend it, but it was kind of cool that they kind of took a toy idea and made it into something real fun. And it looks like they're trying to do something like that with DC Primal Age. It's basically like a Conan the Barbarian version of the Justice League. So if you're interested in that, look forward to it. It will be exclusively at Target stores. And, if you have the extra money to spend, go ahead and pick that up. Now, there are similar deals with Walmart where they make a lot of 100-page variants, or not variants, but volumes that they kind of release at Walmart stores exclusively. Just basically a condensed version of whatever storyline they started with for the new reboot. They got one for Flash and Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, those things. So it's not unheard of, but it's kind of neat when we do see it. And again, that's Chris Arndt that published that there on Newsarama. Another story from Chris Arndt on Newsarama. Marvel Cats variants will be available for purchase this spring. Basically, I thought it was kind of funny, so I thought I'd throw it in there. The whole Marvel variant event for the month of February into March is going to be cat variants.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. What a waste. But it's kind of fun, so I'm going to put it there.
Hey, here's my question. Why would we give a cat variant to someone like Wolverine?
Because it's perfect.
He already looks like he has to hack up a fucking hairball anytime he wakes up.
By the way, Newsarama, fix your ads, dude. Oh, it's so hard to read your stuff. I'm trying to promote your website here. Next up, this one just collectively credited to the Newsarama staff.
Yeah.
I just thought it's not necessarily American comics related, but it's anime, manga related. The Dragon Ball Super Brawley movie has hit #1 at the U.S. box office, which is pretty incredible for an animated film. Especially an animated film that has a very limited release. So I haven't seen it yet. I really want to see it. I'll probably see it sometime this week, as long as it stays in theaters long enough. But based on the money it's been making, I think it's a pretty safe bet. So I just thought that was a fun piece of news that I'd throw in there for all the weebs out there, including myself.
Weeb corner.
But yeah, it looks really cool. The storyline for the original Brawly was real dumb. I don't know if you remember this, Emery, but the the first few Dragon Ball Z VHS, straight to VHS movies had a lot of music that was from popular bands at the time, like Disturbed, Drowning Pool, Deftones, Pantera. Like they just brought out the big guns for all of these albums. American Pearl is another one that I got introduced to through a Dragon Ball Z movie. Breaking Point. But you can't find them anymore in that version because the copyrights were only for that initial version on the VHS. Like the DVDs have some weird instrumental music that doesn't really fit, and you can't really find them anymore, which is kind of a bummer because I love that they had the music on there. They even had like a little holographic sticker that was stuck to the outside of the plastic VHS case that said, featuring music from blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and it just added that extra something to the movie, and that's one strong suit of the Brawly movies, that it's got a bunch of unique music in it. The weak suit of the Brawly movie is that the story is basically that Brawly's pissed because Goku cried louder as a baby, and so he wants to murder him irrationally, and everybody associated with him. Like, that's stupid. Oh, and Vegeta poops his pants for about an hour of the movie, and then he joins the fight and immediately gets his shit knocked in. And yeah, it was real dumb. It was a real dumb movie. I don't understand why Brawly has the pull he does, but hopefully this movie retcons that and makes him interesting again. So
it's like he's so cool, but that's so dumb.
It's real dumb. It was really dumb. Next up in comic book news, again from Chris Arendt, Newsarama, Vin Diesel has welcomed us to the Valiant era and his first Bloodshot photo. It's a pretty underwhelming photo. It's literally just Vin Diesel being Vin Diesel and
having some camo on.
Yeah, and some army fatigues. It looks like he's got multicam on. That's really underwhelming. I don't know why this is even relevant. I don't know why he posted it.
Is that for Valiant, or is that him just about to go hunting? Yeah. I don't
know if I want to see Vin Diesel as Bloodshot. It just seems like a bad idea from the get-go. He's also pretty old at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the best idea. He's not really jacked anymore. He's kind of got dad bod going on. I don't know. I'm sure he can get fit, but
Here's the thing that I don't know if anyone's caught wind of this, but Valiant already has something on YouTube going with the guys over at Bat in the Sun.
Yeah.
Where they're diving straight in, doing Ninja K, Exo Manowar, Bloodshot, all of them in one thing where they're all trying to get Ninja K or Ninjak, however you want to pronounce that bullshit.
Yeah.
Hilariously, the guy playing Bloodshot in that one is none other than the Green Ranger himself, Jason David Frank.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm totally down.
The guy that they got playing Ninjak, he was on the show Arrow for a hot second, playing the role of, what was it, Deadshot?
Okay.
Yeah.
I never got that far, because quite frankly, I can't stand Stephen Amell's acting.
Yeah, it's
that's I'm sorry. Don't like his acting.
Yeah, you remember this guy by distinctly being not Will Smith?
Oh, man, don't remind me of that movie, please. I beg you. Let's not reference that movie ever. Just let it fade. let it fade away.
This is my friend Katana.
He got me this movie, so I am obligated. I am obligated to look at this stupid Blu-ray on my shelf for the rest of time because my good friend gave it to me.
Yep.
And I can't fucking get rid of it.
Yep.
I hate you.
Yep.
I love you, but I hate you. This movie's terrible. You should just let me enjoy my illusions. Or delusions.
I will never let you live in ignorance. No matter how bad you want to.
I miss bliss. I miss it so much. Next on the news. This one, I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Tom King, writer of Grayson, Mr. Miracle, and
Heroes in Crisis.
Heroes in Crisis, thank you. The one that I keep reading, even though I wish I wasn't. Is giving away his comic books to federal employees following government shutdown. Tom King, really good writer. I don't think his work is the stuff you should be giving to unemployed workers who are not getting paid and being screwed over by the government.
Right.
Because, quite frankly, your stuff is depressing.
Yeah.
Like, really depressing. And you're going to make these poor people hang themselves. So,
if anything, you should be advocating to someone like in DC who, I don't know, has writing that inspires hope. Something along those lines. Who's writing Superman right now?
I'm not sure.
I can't think of it. Oh, yep, nope, never mind. This is Brian Michael Bendis. Somebody else. Anybody else.
But
except for
Jeff Johns, why don't you send some stuff?
Yeah, Jeff Johns, please.
But yeah, it's a really nice gesture by Tom King. He's a really good writer. He's one of the new kind of big names in comics, although Heroes in Crisis I'm not really a big fan of, but I just don't think your content is what they need when they're at a low point right now. Very nice gesture. Just thought you should get a shout out, but maybe see if you can borrow some other writers' stuff to give away.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't give them Mr. Miracle #1.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real depressing. Don't give them the book that literally has a suicide on the first issue.
In the first page. Don't give them Heroes in Crisis either.
Yeah, please don't.
Please
don't. That's not what they need right now.
Don't give them your... You know what?
Great intentions.
Yeah, again, give them someone else's book.
Next up on the news, this is just kind of a cool note. Again, Chris Arendt, editor at Newsarama. Comic book Kickstarters raised $15 million in 2018 for new projects. Just thought that was pretty cool. Basically, self-producing creators have been seeking help from avenues like Patreon and Kickstarter and whatnot to raise money to kind of take on their own creative vision, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's really, it's hard to publish these books and actually get eyes on them.
Yeah,
without a big publisher under your belt. A DC, a Marvel, Vertigo, Dark Horse, Boom, whatever the case may be,
or a big publisher trying to get at you.
Yeah, and it's also kind of nice because it incentivizes you to create the full product before you release it because you've already been paid.
Right.
So, very interesting, very cool. I think it's a great thing that people are able to get their creative vision kind of supported and pushed out. Hopefully, people aren't dropping the ball. These creators aren't dropping the ball, because that is a problem with Kickstarters specifically. Patreon's less so because you got kind of tiers that you got to honor. And it's a month-to-month thing. It's a small contribution month-to-month, and you can cancel it at any time. Hey. How about patreon.com/hitthebooks?
Yeah.
Donate once. Donate every month. Small amount.
Yeah.
Don't like it? Get your money back. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's totally cool.
A little bit.
It's
a little bit
shameless
goes a long way.
self-promotion.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see, and I just thought that was a cool little note that I'd toss in there. Next up on the news, we have to discuss the big trailer that came out this week.
Oh, the big one.
Yep. Spider-Man Far From Home got its first trailer. I think this is one of the few missteps that the Marvel marketing group has committed. I think they made a huge mistake in announcing all the titles after Infinity War.
Yeah, that has taken away so much of what should have been ongoing steam from Infinity War's very.
Yeah.
Oh God, that ending.
Specifically, Spider-Man: Far From Home, and specifically the Black Panther 2 movie, whatever it ends up being. Ant-Man and the Wasp, you can get away with because we know that it's happening before Infinity War.
Right.
Captain Marvel, it's a movie in the 90s, so you can get away with telling that story without spoiling things that are likely going to happen in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge miscalculation. People are going to see these movies. You don't need to promote this stuff this early. Just let it go. Have the trailer at the end of Avengers Endgame or something as instead of an extra credits thing, have the new trailer.
Yeah.
Something that would be cool. But I think it's one of the few missteps. As far as the trailer goes, I thought it was cool and interesting, and I really like the cast. Spider-Man: Homecoming is probably my favorite Marvel movie. Unfortunately, I didn't see Michael Keaton in it. Makes me sad. But I did.
We love Birdman.
But I did see MJ, and I love me some MJ.
MJ's great, quirkiness and all.
Mm-hmm. And I love his buddy, who always seems to get the short end of the stick. His fat Polynesian buddy.
Oh, yeah, he's wonderful. My favorite guy in the chair.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he entertains me. But I thought the trailer overall was pretty interesting. Gives you a lot of kind of clues as to what's going on in this movie, what probably happens in Endgame. Notable characters there, notable characters not there. What's going on here? I got some theories. But I thought it was a pretty solid trailer. I don't understand why they have to go to Italy to fight a white American dude who's...
you know exactly why they're doing that.
Vacation.
European vacation.
Woo!
Yeah, National Lampoon. I mean, Spider-Man.
Next one's going to be Christmas vacation, and then we're going to have Las Vegas vacation.
Can we just skip to Home Alone?
National Lampoon Spider-Man. All we need is a Cousin Eddie, and we're all set.
I mean, if we're going to go full John Hughes, can we get Spider-Man Breakfast Club?
Yeah. But what did you think of the trailer? You like it? Hype meter, what are you, 1 to 10?
I'm at a solid 7. I'm not all the way up at a 10 because, one, it's European vacation. This is John Hughes all over again, and I love John Hughes, but it doesn't seem very daring at all. I can understand why other people would be at hype 11 for this, given who they're fighting, which is Mysterio. Mysterio being another reason why my hype level...
619, Rey Mysterio.
God damn it.
Sorry, wrong one. That'd be great if he was fighting a random luchador in Italy. That'd be cool.
Oh, we know what happens when Batman fights luchadors. Crack.
Oh, yeah.
Is Spider-Man fighting Mysterio? I anticipate this going one of two ways specifically, and we can talk about that a bit later, but it's because of my knowledge of Spider-Man, and more specifically, my knowledge of Mysterio, that my hype meter is at a 7 because I'm kind of already seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure this has been floating around the internet, but I'm imagining he's setting up some big illusion, pretending to be a hero, to do something nefarious or manipulate Spider-Man or whatever the case may be.
It's like his name's Mysterio or something.
Yeah, so we'll see. Get in your fishbowl.
Yeah, actually, my hype meter is up to an 8. Fishbowl confirmed. It'd be one thing if they were just trying to do something weird with his head and kind of make it ooh, it's all wavy lines and whatnot. No. Fishbowl confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm up to an 8 now.
I'm also a little disappointed because I was hoping they wouldn't show the trailer for the Spider-Man movie before Endgame, because I liked kind of entertaining the theory that something crazy goes on and we get like a Miles Morales Spider-Man. And since it's titled Far From Home, it could be like, yeah, we got Peter Parker back, but he's out in space or something crazy.
Right.
You know, I thought that like almost like was it Spider-Man 3000 or whatever it was, where he's in the future.
Oh, 2099.
Yeah, that's the one. And he's kind of in this weird situation in space, and he's got a different suit and all these things because of the shenanigans of Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Thought that would be cool. But no, Far From Home is just Italy, apparently. He's literally flown to a different planet, but Italy is far from home. All right. Okay. Thanks, Marvel. All right. But that's just me. I think it's one of the few missteps their marketing team has committed, and I think they would have been better off showing a little restraint in that regard. You know.
Oh, there's another reason why I'm actually going to dial my hype back down to a 7. There have already been spots that confirm where exactly Far From Home takes place, and it takes place after.
Yep. So another mistake. They confirmed
that is another mistake.
Confirmed that it's happening after, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Now we pretty much know that Infinity War didn't really matter, and Endgame is going to reverse it all with Ant-Man's quantum realm shenanigans, most likely.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah. So
thanks, Ant-Man.
A little bit of a bummer there. Kind of takes my hype meter down for all of these movies quite a bit. But I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah. He's so good.
He really is, though. And that death squeal. Every time, every movie that he has that death squeal. You know, I don't remember if he did it in Civil War, but he definitely did it in Infinity War and Homecoming.
Yeah.
Man, he sells that death squeal so hard.
He's so good at sounding like he's about to die.
It brings me to like my wits' end emotionally. I just want to protect this little kid. No, Tom.
Somebody save my precious boy.
Just takes every like paternal instinct I have, like, and just rips it all to shreds.
But then builds it right back up and reassures you that he is, in fact, Spider-Man. Like, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I know you want to save him, but you have to let him save himself.
Yeah.
That is...
He's a great actor. He's doing a great job.
Oh.
I'm glad that he's gotten to shine as much as he has.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah. Next up on the news, we've had the Diamond Gem Awards, which is their yearly comic book awards that Diamond, who is basically the distributor of most major comic companies in their physical form, and they do a little awards ceremony, stuff like best new artist, best new creator, best new book, all those sorts of things. Looks like DC got the majority of them. Oh my God, Newsarama, please stop with these videos. These autoplay videos are killing me. But DC kind of dominated the awards there. 2018 Comic Book Publisher of the Year went to DC Entertainment. Comic Book Publisher of the Year runner-up was Boom Studios. 2018 Backlist Publisher of the Year was Image Comics. No surprise there. 2018 Top Dollar Comic Book Publisher was Marvel Comics. This because of volume, not because of necessarily sales.
Right.
Typically, and it's true for this month. Spoiler alert for the next news item.
Yeah.
But DC typically dominates individual sales, while Marvel dominates volume, which obviously gives them more money overall. Next up, 2018 Manga Publisher of the Year went to Viz Media. 2018 Game Manufacturer of the Year went to WizKids NECA. I'm guessing that's, either mobile games or something like that, board games. 2018 Toy Manufacturer of the Year, Diamond Select Toys. They awarded themselves. I think that's kind of funny. 2018 Comic Book of the Year was Heroes in Crisis #1, which I completely disagree with. And then the runner-up was Action Comics #1000. which is just a collection of short stories. So I don't see that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
Maybe it was a good seller for them, but I don't think
That's
quality-wise either of those books were up to snuff.
still dumb.
I think there was a lot of better books out there this past year. Top dollar book was obviously Action Comics number 1000. No big surprise there. New comic book series, Immortal Hulk. Best all age series, DC Superhero Girls, which is becoming a cartoon pretty soon. Best licensed comic of the year was Stranger Things number 1 from Dark Horse.
Of course.
Original graphic novel of the year, My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies from Image Comics. Let's see here. Indie graphic novel of the year, Berlin, the complete edition. It looks like it was a tie between them and Drawn and Quarterly. Let's see here. Anthology of the year, Thanos Legacy number 1. Let's see here. Any other real big ones that are worth mentioning? So the rest is just like toys and stuff like that. So a lot of cool awards on there. It's nice that they do that every year. I think it's a little silly that they basically give it to whichever sold the most, not necessarily what was the best in quality, but okay.
Right.
Take it as you will. Next up on the news, we have the comic book sales charts for December. Last episode, we got the sales charts for the previous year. This one's actually for the full month of December. We kind of conflated that a little bit at the beginning of the news topic last week. Apologize for that. Just to be clear, this is for December and only December. And this brought to us by Michael Doran, who is the managing editor at Newsarama. Again, these videos are killing me, guys. You really got to do something about these autoplay videos. They shouldn't follow me as I scroll around your page and block everything we're trying to read.
Right.
Let's see here. So here's the list and the breakdown. Oh my God, these videos, they're not even advertisements. It's just BS that they put on the page.
Yeah.
Retail market share, once again, Marvel Comics has most of the share, mostly because of volume. DC has the best sales per unit. Currently running with Marvel Comics as a unit market share of 44.09%. So almost half of the volume of product being put on the shelves is Marvel.
Yep.
Even if it's not necessarily selling. They release a lot of books.
Yeah, they can basically pay for that space. So yeah,
DC's not too far behind. They're at 30% there. Image Comics at 9%. IDW at about 4%. Boom at just over 2%. Dark Horse just over 2%. Dynamite just over 2%. Valiant just under 1%. Titan and then Archie Comics and everything else together is about 4%. Comparative sales numbers. Let's go year over year because month over month is very holiday centric information.
Yeah.
Year over year, comics as a whole, the sales are up. It looks like. I feel like they need to label these a little better. Looks like comics as a whole are up about 9.29%, so about 10%, which is good to see. Graphic novels are down considerably, about 27%, which is pretty bad. And then total overall is about negative 2%. And they report on toys here. It looks like toys are definitely going downhill. It's probably just because everything's digital now.
Yeah.
Including children's entertainment. Again, just kind of giving you the disparity. New titles shipped by Marvel Comics 128, the next one DC at 90. And then if you look at just comics, like individual actual comic book issues, Marvel's at 90, DC's at 52, Image is at 52, IDW at 32, Boom at 24, Dark Horse at 21. So pretty big discrepancy there.
A little bit.
A lot of volume there. The top 10 comics by units shipped for last month. Batman, The Batman Who Laughs, number 1. Again, I'm not. I get that he looks neat, he's savage, but it's in a world, in a lore that's really, really dumb. But that was the number 1 issue, no surprise there. Number 2 is Batman Damned, otherwise known as Bat Penis number 2, which I still need to dive into. I really want to get into it, and it's exactly what I want, a cult book. So, number 3, Doomsday Clock number 8. Again, this comic is taking way too long to produce.
Yep.
Number 4, Batman number 60. Number 5, Batman number 61. So again, you can see the top 5 selling comics are all DC books, but because of volume, Marvel has overtaken them. Number 6, Amazing Spider-Man number 11. Number 7, Fantastic Four number 5. So it's cool to see Fantastic Four selling pretty well. Number 8, Amazing Spider-Man number 12. Number 9, Batman Annual number 3. And number 10, Shazam number 1. Look at Shazam getting some love.
Hey,
yeah, that makes me happy.
Shazam's coming up.
Yeah. So those are some fun stats for you. Just thought you might enjoy that. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It seems like the comic book industry is stabilizing a little bit. It's kind of plateauing where it's going to be. And that might be a good thing for the future of the industry. I think there's some business practices we still need to work on a little bit. You know, we need a little bit more quality, a little less volume from Marvel. We need a little bit more actual editing from these editors.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
And for these Snickers ads, you got to do something about this. It's pissing me off.
Come up with...
It catches me almost every time because I'm so engrossed in the panels, and I get to the next panel and I'm like, wait, did I miss something? What's going on here? And Snickers ad, damn it! Not again. It's like when you go through a parking lot and you think there's a parking spot open,
yeah,
and then it's just like one of those
it's
little
just
tiny
fucking small car.
smart car or something, you know? And you're like, damn it!
It's like, son of a bitch.
Got me again.
It's like, here's the thing, Snickers. You are not tied. Okay, you can't just pretend you are part of your regularly scheduled programming and say, "Oh, you thought this was what this is. This is actually a Tide ad."
Gotcha.
Tide can do that. Snickers, stop.
And then to wrap up the news, we have, unfortunately, another episode of Delay Corner.
Delay Corner. Oh no.
Womp womp.
Delayed.
This time it comes from Marvel. Fantastic Four and Tony Stark's Iron Man issues are being pushed back. Again, this coming from Newsarama, Chris Arendt. Fantastic Four number 7 and Fantastic Four number 8 are now set to come out a few weeks later than originally posted. February 27th for number 7 and March 27th for number 8. Meanwhile, Tony Stark, Iron Man number 9 and number 10 are now expected to come out a few weeks later on March 13th and April 17th, respectively. So these are series that have experienced delays already and are experiencing a few more delays. Again, we always harp on this. The easiest way to kill your comic book is to not release it on time.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the business model is the paycheck to paycheck, month to month, week to week system that it is, because it forces everybody to be crunching all the time. All the artists are constantly crunching to try to make these things in the expected time frame. If you stumble or you have a family emergency or anything happens, out of the realm of expectation, you're fucked. And then your consumer base doesn't see your book for, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And then they don't feel like going back to catch up with what the hell was happening and try to remember what was going on just to read this one issue. And knowing that they're not going to get another issue for another several weeks. They'd rather just wait for the volume to come out and hopefully enjoy that. So
yeah, the stories like this really thrive on momentum.
Yeah.
When you lose that, you are likely to lose sales every time.
So that's always a little bit disappointing. Unfortunate to see. Hopefully, all these companies, kind of specifically DC and Marvel, get their shit together and kind of stop delaying all these books. And if you are going to delay, please have a good reason. Give us a good, solid reason. Not that our business practice is garbage and we just didn't feel like making the comic on time this month. Like, it puts too much pressure on your creators. It makes the product less complete, less coherent. It often brings down the quality, especially towards the end of the issues. There's usually a discernible difference between the artwork at the beginning of the book's run and the end of the book's run. And it's always
Yeah.
because they're trying to crunch these these books out.
We gotta meet a deadline.
And if you just
Hurry it up. It's like,
if you
sorry,
pay-
we can't. Gotta delay it.
if you just commission them and then paid a percentage of the proceeds later after it's complete and given to you to be split up into parts, that'd be a much better system, and it'd probably be a much more stable system, and probably save all of these companies a lot of money in the long run.
It really would.
Maybe even make you quite a bit of money because you wouldn't lose your reader base.
Yeah.
But that's just me. We rant on it every single week.
Every time.
Fingers
and it
crossed
keeps happening.
somebody listens one of these days.
One of these days, we keep laying it out. One of these days, they're going to listen.
And that, my friends, is the news.
Hit the books. Hit the books. Which books are we hitting this week?
Well, Emery, I thought you'd never ask. Oop, product ad. Nope.
No
product there.
Yep,
I don't
we're
know.
not labeling out.
I don't
we're
know
labeling.
what you're talking about.
We're labeling in.
Cut. Hard cut.
Yeah, hard cut.
Cut. Mm-hmm.
Do we got to do that again?
Nah, it's good. I'll just chop it up a little bit.
Yep.
We don't want to show alcoholic beverages on our
On our kid-friendly
channel.
fucking podcast.
Yeah, this podcast probably isn't for kids. So.
Oh, yeah, no.
So we're kind of running long here, so I'm going to try to power through these real quick.
Yep.
Our camera's probably going to die. So there's going to be an awkward transition somewhere in here. I apologize. Our camera runs on a certain amount of juice, and there's no way for us to plug it in and record at the same time. Apologies. But we'll try to get through as much as we can. All right. And again, as a reminder, since we were last running, we've decided to kind of cut down on the number of companies that we read every week as far as the new releases, because quite frankly, there's just so many. We just told you how many Marvel was releasing every month, and it's ridiculous, just that one company alone. And if you watch our YouTube videos, I actually do spend a ridiculous amount of time putting each cover in our YouTube video so you can actually see the cover of the comic as I read them off and kind of see if they pique your interest or not. So
yeah,
it takes me a lot of time, and it's really tedious. So I hope you appreciate it, but unfortunately, because of how tedious and time-consuming it is, we have to cut some of the smaller companies like Titan, like Scout, like Valiant. These are companies we used to read every week, but it's just Archie. It takes too much time to read all of them. But we'll still read out the main ones, DC, Marvel, Boom, Dynamite, IDW, Dark Horse, Vertigo. Those are the big ones. So
yeah.
Image definitely.
Yeah. The other companies you can always find on freshcomics.us, as we had mentioned before.
Once again, really great website, really great resource if you're a comic book fan, especially if you're going to your local comic book shops every week.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously run by some great people who care very much about the entire business there. So
yeah, it's good for the ethos.
Yeah. First up, from Marvel Comics, we have Avengers number 13. We have Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 2. We have Guardians of the Galaxy number 1. We have Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 39. We have Shuri number 4. We have Star Wars number 60. We have The Crypt of Shadows number 1. We have The Immortal Hulk number 12. We have The Man Without Fear number 4. We have The Superior Spider-Man number 2. We have Uncanny X-Men Annual number 1. We have War is Hell number 1. And that wraps up Marvel. From Dynamite Entertainment, we have a Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kings number 15. We have Betty Page number 2. Because Dynamite loves boobs.
Yeah, they do.
We have Kiss, Blood and Stardust, number 4. Love Gun. We have Mars Attacks, number 4. From IDW Publishing, we have DuckTales.
Woo!
Thank you. Strained that one a little bit, huh?
A little bit.
DuckTales, number 17. We have, let's see here, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 3. We have GoBots, number 3.
GoBots.
Something I haven't heard in a long, long time.
Probably for good reason.
We have My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, number 74, for you bronies out there. We have Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 4.
I wish they would go back down.
Yeah, not too big a fan of the new version of animated Turtles there.
Yep. Nope.
Next up, we have Star Trek The Next Generation, Terra Incognita, number 6.
Ooh, TNG.
Oh, yeah, the best version.
Damn right.
We have Sukeban Turbo, number 3. Hopefully I pronounced that right.
Interesting.
Sukeban.
Sukaban.
We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 90.
Ooh, those I like.
We have, let's see here. That's it. All right. That's it from IDW. From DC Comics, we have Aquaman, number 44. Looking pretty good. I need to catch up on my Aquaman.
My man.
My man. Rob Zombie before Rob Zombie was Rob Zombie.
Ooh.
It was Aquaman. Starring Jason Momoa.
You're damn right.
Yeah. Next up, we have Batman number 63 featuring
Constantine. Hashtag save Constantine.
Yep. Sorry, cut you off there, buddy. It was my bad.
Don't worry. The cutoff doesn't last long. But you know it will last long. Hashtag save Constantine.
Save Constantine.
Ooh, you damn right.
DC Universe, I will give you my money if you put Constantine, not the animated show, an actual live-action Constantine based on the NBC version of Constantine.
With Matt Ryan.
With Matt Ryan. Has to be Matt Ryan.
Yeah, it has to be. Definitive.
Next up, we have Damage, number 13. I'm very surprised this book is even still going. It was awful when we started reading it last year.
Freaking
for the
1 hour Hulk.
Yeah. DC did this whole new age of DC heroes. A lot of them were great and interesting. Kind of rip-offs, a lot of them, unfortunately. But
yeah,
still really enjoyable. Damage was not one of them. Damage is real bad. Next up, we have Freedom Fighters, number 2. We have Justice League, number 16, featuring Martian Manhunter.
Thank you for bringing him back.
Original founding member.
Yeah.
Let's not ignore him for like 3 years again.
Please. He's a great character.
Next up, we have a new character in the Wonder Comics series, which is the younger, skewed one, Naomi. We'll see what the deal with that one is.
Interesting.
Don't really know yet, but it looks interesting.
Yeah.
We have Pearl, number 6, which is one of the Jinx World comics from Brian Michael Bendis' Exterior World there. We have Shazam, number 2, unfortunately, featuring the whole Shazam family, which I wasn't a fan of in the first issue, but I did like everything else about the first issue, so I'm going to read it.
It's just, focus it on the title character for a little bit.
Yeah. We have Sideways, number 12, which is a really good book, even though it's basically a Spider-Man ripoff. And a terrible, terrible name.
Yeah.
Please don't use an adjective to describe your character's name there. Sideways. Next up, we have Teen Titans, led by Damian Wayne, at number 26.
Who let this child in here?
Meanwhile, Tim Drake is leading the children, the baby Justice League.
It's a bit of a mismatch.
We have Teen Titans Go, number 32, your boys. We have The Curse of Brimstone Annual, number 1, my boy. It looks like Swamp Thing and Constantine are going to be in it. Hell yeah.
Okay, now I'm all in.
And we have The Wildstorm, number 19, which I love Wildstorm specifically because I love Grifter.
And I love Wildstorm because it's Warren Ellis writing.
Also a good starting point for anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Next up from Boom Studios, we have Beneath the Dark Crystal, number 6. We have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, number 1. We have a lot of variants for it. Over the Garden Wall, Hollow Town, number 5. We have Smooth Criminals, number 3. We have Steven Universe, number 24, and that wraps up Boom. All right. From Image Comics, we have Exor. There's an R in there.
Exorcisters?
Exorcisters. It's a little hard to say the first time.
Yeah.
Exorcisters, number 4. We have Hardcore, number 2. Hardcore Parkour. We have Monstrous, number 19. Get hyped.
Oh, it's back, boy.
Santa Takeda, wonderful artist. She always seems to draw the same exact thing, but I love it every time.
It's very pretty.
And Monstrous is a great book. Next up, we have Oliver, number 1, which has a very interesting description from what Emery and I were reading before the show.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
Next up, we have Outcast, number 38. We have Regression, number 15. We have The Beauty, number 26. And that wraps up Image. From Dark Horse Comics, we have Aliens Resistance, number 1. With a pretty cool variant cover there. We have Hellboy and the BPRD 1956, number 3.
Interesting.
We have Lightstep, number 3. We have StarCraft Soldiers, number 1. We have The Whispering Dark, number 4. And we have The Witcher, number 2 of Flesh and Flame. Another Witcher short run there. From Vertigo, we have American Carnage, number 3. We have Cover, number 5. We have Lucifer, number 4. That wraps up Vertigo. And that is everything coming to your local comic book shops.
Again, please support your local comic book shops.
And digital devices this week. Now, it's time to hand out the prestigious, nay, life-changing award of cover and variant cover of the week from Hit the Books Podcast. First, the cover of the week award goes to none other than Vertigo's Lucifer, number 4.
Ooh.
Which happens to be a Sandman Universe tie-in, which has been consistently winning covers of the week.
Yeah.
For at least the past 2 weeks.
They're very good.
Yeah. This one has been done by Joni Montez, spelled Goni, Joni or Goni. I'm assuming Joni.
Yep.
Joni Montez. This cover has a really cool aesthetic to it. It seems to have a very kind of raw, very kind of like artist notebook sketch type of look to it. Like something you would see in a personal collection of sketches, you know, that an artist is working on when brainstorming or coming up with creative new ideas. And it just reeks of that. It just reeks of creative new ideas. And much like a lot of the other different artists working on the other different Sandman Universe books, everybody's just giving it their all and kind of putting their own unique spin on it. And it really stands out. I think it's a cover that's going to really stand out on the shelves. It might not have the same kind of color pop that other comics might have, but it aesthetically has a great and unique look to it that I think will really catch people's attention and really look great hanging up on your wall.
Which is definitely recommended.
Yeah.
Another thing I'm going to say about this is that there's the imagery itself here evokes a sense of symbolism. You can see that there's someone who looks like they're crawling outside of someone's insides, looking somewhat disheveled and old and whatnot. And there appears to be some kind of cross that's either fashioned out of whatever this person's made of or whatnot. It's very much a piece that, like, if there's any case for saying that these books are works of art, images like this are really the ones that will help make that case.
Yeah. It really looks like something you would see in like Da Vinci's Notebook or something. That's what it reminds me of, you know, kind of the Vitruvian Man or something like that, you know. That sort of cool, unique, creative aesthetic. And I just really dig it. So good on you. Great job, Joni Montez. It's a wonderful cover, and I hope it sells gangbusters. I really need to get into these Sandman Universe books. I read the original Sandman run by Neil Gaiman. I did not read the follow-up that happened a few years ago. I think 2 or 3 years ago. He had his own, like, kind of basically Sandman 2 type of deal going on, and I guess he did a lot of world building in that one. And I mean, those books are aesthetically really, really cool and unique internally. The illustration is amazing in those books. And I really need to get caught up on all the Sandman stuff and see if it's worth really diving into all these different Sandman universe books. You know,
Yeah.
Lucifer, I'm assuming this is the same Lucifer that's usually used in like Constantine books and stuff like that. But Lucifer is usually known more for being on a different end of the spectrum, not necessarily in the Sandman universe, but I can see how Lucifer could be an easy contributor to the kind of franchise there. So
easily.
Definitely look forward to that. There will be a Did the Content Match the Drapes on this somewhere in the future of the show. So look forward to that. Once again, great job, Joni Montez. Next up, for our variant cover of the week from Hit the Books Podcast, we have Uncanny X-Men Annual #1. This one is the Edward Petrovich variant cover. And this one is kind of the classic Cyclops aesthetic with kind of a art style of maybe the late 90s and like early 2000s.
Yeah, lots of sharp corners, sharp edges.
Yeah, definitely not the modern aesthetic that you kind of see on everything nowadays.
Yeah,
it has a very squared off, very not quite John Romita Jr.
not
square box everything, but
not quite boxy all over.
It has a very for lack of a better term, kind of masculine vibe in that way, which is appropriate since he looks like a giant blue penis. Now, full caveat, Emery and I have this discussion all the time.
Yeah, we do.
I think Cyclops sucks. I think he's the most overrated character ever, and I think he's just a huge douchebag all the time. And I know you disagree.
Yeah,
I understand.
I will always say that Cyclops is a brilliant character that has the misfortune of being written by people who don't like him.
And the other caveat being that I'm not a fan of his no hair look. Like, I think the 90s did him a huge favor by getting rid of his blue
On that, we agree.
Penis, like, dome head.
Yeah, I would gladly take 90s, like, amazing hair popping out of the top of his visor.
Yeah.
Cyclops over the whole, like, I'm covering everything but my mouth aesthetic, which...
It just seems unnecessary. Like, what? How is that helping you in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah.
Like, you're not a close combat guy. You don't have to worry about people pulling your hair.
Right.
You shoot laser beams out of your face.
Like, you were very much a distance/range character in terms of any kind of combat.
Yeah. So, that being said, I still thought this was the best variant of the week, and I think you did too.
Yeah.
We had some pretty steady competition. There was some pretty good covers, especially on the variant side of things this week.
This was a very good week for variants.
But ultimately, Edward Petrovich's Uncanny X-Men #1 annual won it out because it is such a very cool aesthetic. It's something you would expect to see on like promo art, like a really good poster for promo art for a new new franchise run or something like that. And I know the new version of Uncanny X-Men hasn't been going on too long, but it just has that kind of aesthetic and pull to it that I really think is unique and really cool. Petrovich has done a lot of covers that we've pointed out. I think he maybe not last year, but definitely in 2017 he won a few covers of the week, I believe. But yeah, really great cover. So once again, big congratulations to Edward Petrovich for his Uncanny X-Men Annual #1 variant cover, and big congratulations to Joni Montez's Lucifer #4, part of the Sandman Universe Vertigo run there. Really great covers from both of you. Really unique, really cool art aesthetic that I think we can both really appreciate, and I hope you do too, fans. If you want to find out more about the content inside, be sure to look forward to future Did the Content Match the Drapes. Almost shorted you on this one after talking about the issue.
Almost.
But we caught ourselves before it was too late, so you did get your segment this week.
Yep.
So now, for our new friends out there, This is the part of the show where we discuss a topic of our choosing about the world of comics. Normally, we would have dedicated something much bigger to this. Like last year, we had an entire episode dedicated to our favorite covers of the year, and then an entire episode dedicated to our favorite books of the year, as far as written aesthetic and story go, and internal illustration. Last year, just to recap you, our favorite books of the year were Maestro's. That was my personal favorite of the year. Your favorite was Mr. Miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, 2018 kind of changed that, I'm assuming.
Yes, it did.
And then our overall favorite book of the year was Batman White Knight, which was just phenomenal. And honestly, it could have easily been our comic of the year this year.
Oh, it could have.
Because the second half of it came out the first half of this year. And it was just a great book.
And it finished very strong.
Yeah, so Sean Murphy did a wonderful job. It's a fucking stellar book, and I hope they take little tidbits of the ideas you had and kind of ingrain them into the mainstream DC universe, because I think they deserve to be ingrained into the mainstream DC universe and brought a lot of cool, fresh ideas to the Batman canon.
Yeah, I would actually venture as far as to go against that and say, let this man basically have at each and everything that DC has put out there, and let him do his take on it, because he's clearly proven that he can take like a very old ingrained concept, completely flip it on its head, and come out with something amazing.
Yeah. So to try to keep things kind of fair and kind of progressive, we're disqualifying anything that we chose as our favorite comic or cover from last year. So obviously, artwork is not going to be included because it only comes out that 1 week. Right. But stories obviously do overlap a little bit as they cross into the New Year's. So
yeah,
unfortunately, Maestro's Mr. Miracle and Batman White Knight are not eligible this year for our favorite books.
Yeah, they won last time, and we're looking to gain some exposure for these other really good books.
Yeah, but Maestro's is probably in my top 5 favorite comics of all time. I enjoyed it that much. It's so crazy and awesome and just so well put together. And it's a comedy book. You wouldn't think that of a comedy book. By the way, Will Beasley, former producer of the show, look what we got for you, buddy. Per your Patreon tier, we do have that volume ready to go for you. We got we got a few other little goodies that we're going to send your way. And again, shameless self-promotion. If you're interested in getting some of these tier awards, be sure to check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/hitthebooks, where you can help contribute to the show and earn some kind of cool rewards for each tier you go up. We don't expect you to go to the level that Will Beasley, thank you once again, went to by any means, but it is very helpful for us.
If you do get to that level, you can expect something like this waiting for you.
Yeah. So and then Batman White Knight, we've sung its praises so much,
and it deserves
since we started reading. It's so good. It is without a doubt my favorite Batman story of all time.
Yeah,
that's it.
It is objectively the best written Batman story.
Yeah.
It doesn't go too long. It hits exactly all of the points it needs to.
Yep.
And it actually still leaves room for further exploration.
Yep.
For a different storyline.
Yep. Death of the Family, Court of Owls, Long Halloween. All these, The Dark Knight Returns, Nightfall. I mean,
all of them.
You name it. None of them can hold a candle to this story. It is such a great and wonderful love story, like love letter, I should say. I'll make it a love story.
I mean, it already kind of is a love story if you think about it.
It really is, yeah. It's just a wonderful book, so well written. Tons of stuff for new fans, tons of stuff for old fans, and it's just well put together, coherent, no delays from beginning to end, and it looked and felt like it was prepared well ahead of time.
huge points in his favor.
It was wonderful. So again, big shout out to Sean Murphy. You did an awesome job. I know you were previously known as almost exclusively an artist, but your first foray into actual writing and doing the artwork, outstanding.
Brilliant.
Something to be really proud of.
Write more, please.
So with that, we'll get into the final topic, which is to go through our favorite books of last year and our favorite covers. We're only covering the covers that we covered on the episodes. There were a lot of awesome covers and books that were going on while we took our little hiatus there. I apologize. We're not going to include those because we can't reference them on our website or anything like that.
But if you do have any of those that we missed as a result of our hiatus, feel free to mention those in the comments.
Yeah. So a lot of great books, a lot of great art. It's just great. So we're going to, for convenience sake, separate this out. It's going to be part of the episode proper, but it's also going to be its own individual video, just like last year. Although I'm not going to have the two separate videos like last year where we had the covers of the year and then the books of the year. So with that, let's get into it. First, let's talk about our favorite books of the year. For me, my favorite book of the year is going to be Aquaman. It sounds weird.
Yeah.
You know, we joke about Aquaman all the time.
My man.
But Aquaman is legitimately one of my favorite DC characters. Specifically Arthur Curry's Aquaman, the one that grew up on with
land.
his father at the lighthouse and didn't know much about his origins, just knew that he had these unique powers, and his father told him stories about his mother, and then all hell breaks loose, and he's basically called back to his mother's homeland to kind of try to solve things using his kind of, inheritance as a political tool, more or less.
Yeah.
But Dan Abnett, who has been writing a pretty long range of Aquaman stories, did an outstanding job with this. Initially, he teamed up with Stepan Sajic, which is one of our most frequent covers of the week artists.
Yep.
And one of my favorite comic book artists, period. I think, unfortunately, he gets kind of a bad rap because he does use a lot of Photoshop enhanced artwork, and he has had a history of writing kind of smutty material that's good material, but he is very notorious for writing drawing kind of raunchy stuff and posting it on his Twitter.
Yeah, adult oriented things.
He has a book called Sunstone, which is notorious as kind of a comedy, but set in a kind of bondage adult aesthetic between a group of friends.
Yeah.
And shenanigans ensue, which are pretty fun and
of course
also saucy. And it's drawn extremely well. One thing that Stepan Sajic does better than I think anybody else in the comic book world is he expresses characters' emotions really well. And there's a character in this run by Dan Abnett who cannot speak, who is almost exclusively interpreted through facial expressions. And unfortunately, Stepan Sajic didn't stay for the whole run. He went about, I'd say, 3/4 to halfway, somewhere in that range through the run. And then Riccardo Federici took over the internal illustration from there, while Stepan Sajic kind of did a few covers for it, but more or less stayed out of the picture while he worked on some other projects. And Riccardo Federici is also a really great artist, but he brought a very different strength and skill set.
Yeah.
Whereas Stepan Sajic had a really bright and vivid and I don't know, aesthetically pleasing artwork style, and expressive and emotionally, well interpretive. Riccardo Federici brought more of a kind of fairy tale storybook, regal kind of aesthetic where everybody looked very regal and bold and, again, very detailed, very impressive, very technically sound from both of them. But I really leaned more towards the Stepan Sajic version, which was a little bit more emotionally coherent. whereas the Riccardo Federici was a little bit more emotionally dull, but very bold and very impressive nonetheless.
Yeah.
But these are two really great artists. Really, that whole run of Aquaman is basically Aquaman dealing with the fallout. The people, at the upper levels are saying, "Screw this guy. He's not from our world. Why is he in charge of things? Things are going horribly awry because he doesn't know how to be a leader. He's a freaking lighthouse keeper,
Right.
And Aquaman pretty much agrees." And then Mera has her own influences from her kingdom. Obviously pushing things. There's kind of a very Game of Thrones-y kind of scheme behind the scenes going on, which unfortunately the Aquaman movie tried to kind of address. They took a lot of ideas from Dan Abnett's run, but unfortunately didn't execute them very well, in my opinion. So I hope that people that enjoy that aspect of the Aquaman movie actually go back and read this run of Aquaman from early 2018, late 2017, and into mid 2018, because it was really an excellent run, and it really dived into the subcultures throughout the city. There were slums, there were second class, third class citizens. There is kind of a caste system, not unlike the classic Indian caste system of the Far East. And it just had a lot of really interesting points. We had Aquaman kind of being exiled and kind of trying to be a hero in exile and not a ruler for once. Mera kind of taking on way more responsibility than she originally anticipated, but being so qualified for the job that she kind of had to. And this kind of shoving a wrench in between Aquaman and Mera's relationship, because they can't be together. Because he's in exile, him being present alone is enough to dethrone any other royal line.
Yeah.
According to their customs and traditions, which are not necessarily the most sound. Whereas Mera is very, strained by her own royal blood and, aesthetic from her kingdom, and, all these different factors. Obviously, she's very powerful with her kind of water sorcery abilities, and it's very cool, very dynamic. Introduces new, interesting dynamics for Orm, Aquaman, Mera, several new characters and cast members, characters that got a new kind of life in this book, whereas they were kind of forgotten about in previous incarnations.
Yeah.
And it's easily my favorite Aquaman aesthetic, story, artwork to date. I'd say there was one weak issue in there. It's a transitional issue. Stepan Sajic, I think it was 34. Stepan Sajic stopped working at 33. There's another artist that came in to work on a book, and I don't know if Dan Abnett wrote the story for 34. I want to say it's 34 or 35, somewhere in that range. And then Riccardo Federici took over right after. And it was a very jarring experience, because it was clearly a story that was just set aside because they needed a month to kind of catch up and get the new artist acclimated.
Yeah.
And it was very jarring, especially when I didn't realize that was going to happen. The artwork suddenly took a huge downturn. I'm sorry. I apologize to whichever artist that was, but it did not hold a candle to Stepan Sajic's previous work, and did not stand up to Riccardo Federici's
That's a high bar to set.
Work that came after. So Aquaman 2017 to 2018 run is my favorite comic of last year. So Emery, what was your favorite comic of last year?
My favorite comic of last year that is not either Maestro's, definitely not Mr. Miracle,
or Batman White Knight.
Cave Carson Has an Interstellar Eye. Kind of out of nowhere with this book. It takes a little bit to catch up to it, because there's the Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye, which happens before.
Yeah.
When we get to him having an interstellar eye, it's basically the story at that point of a dad who hosts a podcast about the adventures that he's had
in space.
in space.
Yeah, and just to give credit where it's due, written by Jonathan Rivera and illustrated by Michael Avon Owing. So really, just want to throw those names out there.
Yeah,
great job.
Yeah,
Great
Michael
book.
Avon Oeming, you might have heard of him if you're any kind of familiar with the book Powers, which Brian Michael Bendis also wrote. But this book, oh my god, it was so much fun. And there's this character called, what is his name?
Prince.
I want to call him Prince.
Yeah, we obviously haven't read it in a while. It was kind of a short run, unfortunately. It's part of the Young Animal series that DC was running there.
Yeah,
but there is a character that is basically a space god version of Prince,
pretty much,
and it was amazing.
Yeah.
In that first and second issue, I think.
Yeah, and there's a point in that book where this this dad, he's done adventuring per se, he goes and takes his daughter, who is just now kind of getting used to who her father is and like understanding all that. She realizes who that character who's basically Prince in space. And he's like, oh my god, I need an autograph. Can you have me meet him? And the adventure goes from there. I'm not going to spoil any more. Just, it was really good, really entertaining.
Yeah.
And really kind of timely.
Doing the kind of backup, research, with Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye. You don't have to read that ahead of time to enjoy it. I didn't. And I really, really enjoyed this book. I really got a kick out of it. It's a lot of good fun. It's kind of like The Tick in that it's really funny, like genuinely funny.
Yeah.
But it also has kind of a heartwarming aspect because the daughter's also kind of forming her relationship with her father.
Yeah.
She grew up with her mother, and she was kind of in a unique interstellar situation. And she's kind of not only gaining respect for her father, but kind of learning how her father and mother met, what kind of things separated them, what kept them together, there's all sorts of things. And so it's, in addition to being over the top and silly and fun, it's also got a very kind of nice, heartwarming aesthetic to it as well.
Heartwarming is definitely the word I would use.
Yeah. So that was a great book. That's a great choice, Emery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, for our overall favorite book of the year, we gave 2 to DC titles. I think it's only appropriate that we give 1 to a Marvel title.
That's true.
This year, we have to give it to Doctor Strange Damnation.
Ooh, now this one was a doozy when it came out.
Yeah, so this one totally caught us out of left field.
Yeah.
We were so down on Marvel's products at that point. I mean, there's stuff like Old Man Hawkeye, which is pretty decent, and a handful of like unrelated titles that were kind of outside the main canon, but were still pretty enjoyable.
Yeah,
but the main canon stuff had us at such a low point that we had zero expectations for this book.
Yeah, this was like fresh into the Captain Hydra era, which was like, ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. It was really rough. It was the roughest.
Rough enough for Chris Evans to tweet, guys, say it ain't so.
But this book was written by Donny Cates. Guy did an outstanding job.
Oh
outstanding.
My God.
This book was so entertaining. The dialogue was entertaining. The story work was entertaining. Even the tie-ins were great.
Yeah.
We had a cover of the week that was a tie-in, the Johnny Blaze one. Those books, even on an individual level, were great. And that just, is representative of how well coordinated the whole story was, for everybody. And then
surprisingly,
yeah, and then the internal aspects of the issue were illustrated by Nico Henriksen, uh, Henriksen, Henriksen, Henrichon. I apologize. I probably butchered your name. I genuinely apologize, but you did a great job.
You know who you are.
But yeah, this book was great. It had interesting covers. The storyline was really interesting. Basically, through some prior events, Hell had basically claimed Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And decided to take Las Vegas to the surface to kind of have a good time and terrorize these good folks. And it was up to Doctor Strange and a cast of kind of forgotten about supernatural Marvel characters.
A band of misfits, if you will.
Yeah, to kind of save the day, so to speak. And again, all coming from an action of Doctor Strange's kind of hubris. Good intentions and all, but Doctor Strange is known for many things, one of them being his hubris in every situation. And sure enough, his hubris takes him to a whole nother level on this book here.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the road to hell is paved with, but whatever it is, Doctor Strange managed to pave it within a matter of minutes.
No doubt. But this book brings together a huge cast of really cool characters, and characters you wouldn't think would work very well together.
Right.
But they totally worked. The character dynamics totally worked. We had, let's see here, we have Blade. Which was the biggest hype moment for me.
Why have we forgotten about Blade?
We had Doctor Strange. We had his former assistant.
Yeah.
We had the Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dog.
Yeah. We had
Iron Fist.
Yeah, we had Ben Reilly, right?
Ben Reilly, Spider-Man.
Who?
Or Scarlet Spider.
Scarlet Spider, yeah. Who am I forgetting? Was it Elektra that we had? It wasn't Elektra. There was a woman in there.
I think her name was Elsa Blood something.
Yeah,
she was a monster hunter.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. I apologize. I'm not that deep into I'm into Marvel lore. I'm not that deep into Marvel lore. And let's face it, there was a lot of bottom of the barrel characters getting a chance to shine, and they did shine.
Oh yeah.
All credit to Donny Cates, who did a great job with them. And then we had Ghost Rider and a few, obviously Johnny Blaze.
Yeah.
And then we had a handful of other characters show up throughout the run. But it was just great. It was an awesome book. The character interactions were great. The way everything works out in the end was really fun and entertaining. It was just from start to finish a really fun, really awesome book that came out of left field that we did not expect from Marvel. And just really rocked our socks off, I guess,
It's like, oh, holy shit, Marvel still got it.
Now, in comparison, to last year's comic of the year, Batman White Knight, it pales drastically in comparison. But you got to understand that Batman White Knight is like a generational great book. It is a book that can stand toe-to-toe with any comic book run ever. It is that good. Doctor Strange Damnation, not necessarily that, but really, really great, and was our favorite of the year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had a big chunk of the year where a lot of other great books were going on, but because the show wasn't on, we're not going to cover those ones as much. But yeah, that book was awesome. I really enjoyed it from start to finish. So with that, let's jump into the favorite covers of the previous year. Now, again, kind of restricted, to the books that we covered within the time period, including our return. So we got a little bit at the end of the year, and then a whole lot from the first, say, third of the year. And if you are interested in seeing these covers, be sure to check out htbvids.com. You can click the link for covers of the week, or you can go to htbvids.com/2018. There's no ads or anything like that, no pop-ups, just feel free to check it out. And then if you click the picture, it takes you to the link of the episode that actually aired it.
Oh, yeah.
So enjoy that. It's also got some information like the creators, did the content match the drapes, which variant it was, all that stuff. So be sure to check that out if you need a resource like that. We got, even in that short period of the year, we really had a lot of really awesome covers, and it took us a while to kind of come down with our final list of everything.
Yeah.
So, Emery, what was your favorite cover?
My favorite cover was actually Cave Carson Has an Interstellar Eye.
I'm noticing a pattern here.
Yeah, a little bit.
So this is your number one variant. This one done by Christian Ward, which is on episode 26.
Now, the character on the cover, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, finally, I think his name was Star Jones?
Yeah, that sounds right. I was going to say Star earlier, but I couldn't remember the last name.
Yeah. Oh. The part of this that makes it like evoke something like Prince is that all this man is wearing is a cape. And that is it.
That's it. Yeah. Ow! Spoiler for the first issue.
Yeah.
Ow!
Ow. This is the kind of thing that I would expect someone like Prince to wear. It's like he gives no fucks, very, very into himself, and knows just exactly who he is.
Yeah.
It is nothing to hide.
And it's a great cover. It's very colorful. The logo is not taking up too much room, which is a big shout out I want to give to DC. DC did a whole redesign of their logo. Before, they had this big, huge blue banner with the rebirth thing underneath it, and it took up like a quarter of the page. And it was really annoying because you couldn't see the damn artwork. And they changed their format to this kind of very sleek aesthetic that's color matched with kind of the character and has the character symbol, in a very minimalist way. I still wish they would get the barcode put on the back because it would be even more space that we can appreciate for the art. And I have noticed in recent months they've gone back to the kind of corny, put the big text over front of the cover, Wonder Woman is in danger! ! We don't need that. It's not necessary. It makes the cover look corny and not very good.
Right.
And it hides the great artwork that could be lingering behind it. And then the quotes. The quotes are the ones that kill me the most. It's an issue 3. We don't need a quote about how great this book is or how great a character is. It's 3 issues in.
Hey, thanks.
Put it on the volume. Don't put it on the individual issues, please.
Right.
But I do want to give them some credit because they changed their aesthetic and it looked great.
Yeah, the thing that I like the most about this is that we're playing up the whole interstellar part of this. The interstellar part being this guy's name is literally Star Jones, and you are seeing basically a drawn constellation connect directly to his eyeball.
Yeah.
Because the man is a star.
It really is great. So, again, we recommend you pick up this book, not only for the artwork, but because the content matched the drapes.
Yes.
And was Emery's favorite book of last year.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, my favorite cover of the year was Aquaman number 33, the standard cover. This one done by Stepan Sajic. It is representative of everything I like about the whole Mera Aquaman relationship. It kind of shows the exiled version of Aquaman with his long beard and his long hair after dramatic story events. I won't spoil them because I want you to go read it. It's a really great run. Unfortunately, you got to start from the point that Dan Abnett started at, because the storyline was not necessarily very good after Rebirth.
Right.
It was only once Dan Abnett started that things started to get kicked up, and when Stepan Sajic joined his run is when everything really kicks off for the full, whole, complete experience of an Aquaman book. What an Aquaman book should be. But this cover, once again, just represents everything. You can see they're kind of sharing their kind of final romantic kiss as they're being pulled away by the forces that be. And if you're familiar with what's going on in the book, you can kind of recognize what hands are pulling them astray.
Yeah.
And it's just very representative of not only the characters, their love for each other, but also what is happening in the book, what's happening in the story. It's just beautiful. It's got beautiful, vivid color to it. It's got beautiful detail in the scales and the obviously different aesthetics. You know, most artists try to stay away from hands because they hate hands. Hands and feet, Liefeld, are notoriously hard to draw correctly. And Stepan Sajic said, "Fuck that! I'll just put 100 hands in my artwork." And
He's very good.
I'll put 1,000 scales, and I'll put every little anatomy detail of each character into this one shot. It's a great piece of art, and I really wish that Stepan Sajic had more clout in the comic book world because I think he has an amazing talent.
Yeah,
and I wish that he could be everywhere, really. Like, if I could take Stepan Sajic and like Santa Takeda and Jim Lee and just have them draw everything, I would be all about it. Throw Sean Murphy in there, all about it.
There is
Bill Shankowitz.
Yeah,
you can hop in. There
is actually, I'm going to put in a shout out to my friend Christian if he's watching. There is actually a book that Stepan Sajic wrote and drew that is not Sunstone. It was like, if you are any kind of edgelord at all, check out Death Vigil. It was a limited run, didn't go as long as Stepan Sajic had anticipated because the sales weren't there, but what is there in that single volume is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So Stepan Sajic, super underrated comic book artist and I guess professional.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what he's like behind the scenes. You know, he could be a great guy. He could be a total creep. I don't know. But he's got some fucking talent.
Yeah, he does.
That's very apparent. And he's constantly on our covers of the week because he just does great work.
Yeah.
And just want to say thank you for all the joy you brought me. You've got a great talent for comic book art. All right. So with that, let's get into our overall favorite cover of the year. So our overall favorite regular cover, not variants, regular cover of the year is being awarded to Damnation, Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider #1, cover by Clayton Crane. We had a little foreshadowing earlier when we were talking about Damnation.
A little bit.
But this is a book that was really good on the interior.
Yeah.
As well as the exterior. And really the cover, it's a very kind of digitally enhanced cover, you know. But I don't dock things points because they're digitally enhanced if they're done well.
Right.
You know, aka Stepan Sajic's work.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times, you know. But this is basically representative of everything you want to see from Johnny Blaze's Ghost Rider.
You goddamn right it is.
I mean, it is literally a blaze of glory where he's riding his demon motorcycle there.
Like a bat out of hell.
Through the abyss of hell. And it's just great. And another artist that's not afraid to tackle hands.
Yeah.
So
Clayton Crane.
You can see
well done.
Hands everywhere of these departed demons and souls and rotting corpses. It's a really great cover.
The imagery that it evokes with like all of these hands trying to get Johnny is like it is classic Johnny Blaze.
Yeah. So I just really want to say that if you are a Ghost Rider fan whatsoever on any level, this is a cover for you. It's just great. It almost invokes kind of like the classic like Marvel card game art idea. And I could totally see this on like one of those card art pictures. And it kind of takes that to the next level. And I really, really enjoy it. I think it's a really, really great cover. Again, there's a lot of great covers. Many of them we didn't see on the show, so we can't give them credit. But there's genuinely a lot of great work, even in that short time period, and it was really difficult for us to decide on just the one. Next up, our overall variant of the year for 2018 goes to a Bill Shankowitz book and cover here. This is a variant done for Dastardly and Muttley, number 6, a DC book. You wouldn't think it would come from this, but it kind of invokes the just raw joy of following these goofy villainous characters, you know. And done in the Bill Sienkiewicz style, which is notoriously, you know, over the top, very, very impressive. You know, I think he's kind of an artist, you know.
Yeah,
really has a unique vision and unique hand on everything he does. He does a lot of variant covers for people because he has a very cool and awesome aesthetic that people like to buy, including me.
Yeah, he definitely has the aesthetic style of any kind of theme that you're going for down pat. This specific one, this was basically a World War II like fighter pilot aesthetic that he nailed.
Yeah, it's just great because you see, you know, Muttley in the cockpit there with Dastardly kind of looking at him like side-eyeing him like, what the hell are you doing? And you can see that he's got all his kills labeled on the side of the cockpit, just like the classic World War II, you know, fighter planes. And he's got a bunch of cats on there. He's got fire hydrants. He's got mailmen, trees, you know. It's just a great, like, fun, pleasing cover that just is complete from top to bottom. There's nothing ignored, nothing left out. Even the way the light is hitting the rear, you know, behind Muttley's head, it's just the perfect like kind of sunset silhouette to kind of just accent how ridiculous and great it is. And I really like seeing this from Bill Sienkiewicz. I feel like sometimes Bill Sienkiewicz's covers are a little too serious and too dire and too like involved,
like severe.
Yeah, and I feel like when I see this joyous kind of over the top celebration, which he does with his art, it really, really makes me happy. It just brings out something in me that you know, sometimes I forget I have when I'm being all cynical on this show. Yeah.
It's like little snippets of joy from things like, oh my God, I would not have expected him to do that with that.
Exactly. And again, we had a lot of great covers, but we, in the end, had to give our overall to Damnation Johnny Blaze #1 by Clayton Crane and give our overall variant to Dastardly and Muttley #6 by Bill Sienkiewicz. I do want to give an additional shout out to Bill Sienkiewicz. I argued about this with Emery for about 10 or 15 minutes while we're getting the camera ready for our second half of the show.
Another one.
But Bill Sienkiewicz, on episode 19, we gave a bonus cover of the week.
We did.
To the Sienkiewicz variant of Trinity #17. And I don't think we've ever given a bonus before this. Maybe one time we gave another bonus.
Maybe.
Where the week was just stacked so strongly with great covers that we couldn't ignore one.
Right. Or like honorable mentions have happened.
And this is one of those cases. This is Trinity #17, the Sienkiewicz variant, is outrageous. It's amazing. And it's very much like that Dastardly and Muttley cover, where it's just so over the top and joyous.
Yeah.
And just a part of Bill Sienkiewicz's persona that we don't see enough. This one featuring the Trinity, you know, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, kind of in some weird prehistoric environment where they're fighting a bunch of dinosaurs and T-Rexes, and Superman is literally punching a T-Rex in the face, and the T-Rex is wincing in pain. Wonder Woman is slashing another T-Rex across the face with a spear and shield, jumping, you know, gallantly through a ring of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And then Batman at the bottom in the shadows, double wielding two swords that he's fighting off a bunch of raptors with. It's so ridiculous and great and wonderful. And it features a really great accent from DC with their new logo design that they kind of premiered at the end of 2017 and into 2018.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy to look at it. I love it. Yep. Again, please, if you're not watching the video, go check out our website, hdbvids.com/2018. to check out episode 19's bonus cover of the week, because I feel like if everybody at least gets a look at this, they'll at least liven their day up a little bit.
Right. This cover encapsulates everything that is wonderful about comics.
Yeah.
It's like you have the creative freedom to come up with an image so badass,
detailed, artistic, incredible. I mean, even the small details like the giant brontosauruses in the background, just kind of looking like, hey, these guys are saving us. It's so great.
It's like there's something about the inherent silliness of it, but also it's like the earnestness of the fact that this is a comic book and it looks awesome. Like, this is what you want in a cover. This is the kind of cover that, as someone who's not normally like consistently reading DC properties, this type of art would always make me do a double take and say, "Oh, what do we have here?"
I bought that cover right away.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, great cover. Just want to give it a shout out. We really struggled to get it down to the ones we got to. There was a lot of great candidates. Jorge Jimenez had a really great Nightwing cover. We ended up finally saying no to it to the other ones because the content inside was so atrocious. The content inside that issue, if you want to look at the cover, it's the episode 19, Nightwing number 37, cover done by Jorge Jimenez.
We could not in good conscience.
The inside of that comic is so awful. It's so awful. The writing for Nightwing last year was really bad, especially in that first half. I'm not sure about the second half because I didn't read it anymore. And it was so bad. It tore me away from my favorite character. So,
and it's a shame too, because that drape. That drape was so good, though.
Yeah. So, just a few shout outs there. They didn't get our cover of the week or variant cover of the week or either of our favorite covers of the year, but they were up there. And, for me personally, Trinity just narrowly lost out to Aquaman number 33. I mean, very narrowly. But Aquaman 33 ultimately won because Stepan Sajic is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
and he deserves it.
If you guys have any other comics that you think were really great and really stood out last year that we should check out and talk about on the show, please let me know. If you think there was any big covers that we missed during our little hiatus there from about, mid-May to November, somewhere around there.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Feel free to send them at us so we can give them a shout out and give them some credit. Again, these creators work really hard, especially with this whole paycheck to paycheck crunch system they have in place for a lot of these companies.
Yeah.
And I just want to personally say, as a fan, thank you. I really appreciate all the hard work. Noah can sometimes probably feel very thankless, especially in the cesspool that is Twitter. And obviously, idiots like us on the internet, constantly scrutinizing everything you do. I'm sure it's not the funnest experience when lows are lows.
Right.
But we do appreciate all your hard work and all your effort and all your creativity. The world would be a less wonderful place without it.
And our only hope is that we just want more books as good as this. That's all we want.
Yeah. So again, 2018, really solid year for comics. I think there's a lot of good to be had. I think stuff like the New Age of DC Heroes was a great initiative.
Yeah.
That got kind of started in 2018. End of 2017-ish. It's like kind of like January was when everything really started.
Yeah.
But I think there were some things that were kind of a step back as well. But I think overall it's been a positive improvement for the industry and for comics in general, at least from what I've been reading from, largely DC, Image, IDW, less so Marvel, but also some from Marvel, like Doctor Strange Damnation is a good example. Old Man Hawkeye, really great book.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that stuff. So, well, I think that wraps up another mediocre edition of Hit the Books podcast.
Mediocre.
I want to thank you for sticking with us. If you like what you hear, be sure to hit like and subscribe on our YouTube page and follow us on your podcast services of choice and social networks. If you could leave us a kind review or some feedback on Stitcher or iTunes, that would be greatly appreciated. And remember, you can always email us at htbvids. hitthebooksvids. I screwed up some of my stuff there. hitthebooksvids@gmail.com. Again, you can find all this on our website, htbvids.com, where we have links to all this stuff, including our contact us page. We're on Twitter at htbvids. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/hitthebooks. Feel free to interact with us on any of those formats. You know, we could join Instagram and Reddit and all that stuff, but quite frankly, it's just the two of us, and we're already strained for time as it is.
A
So
little bit.
I keep it to the kind of the short and sweet services, although if we get freed up a little bit more financially and as far as time goes in the future, we'll try to appease those branches a little bit more. Once again, I want to give a shout out to newsarama.com, which we often get our news stories from, and freshcomics.us, which once again is a really great resource to find out what's coming out next week, what is out this week, and what came out last week in the comic book shops near you. And of course, one more shameless plug. We do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/hitthebooks. If you like what you hear and see, any contribution or help you could give us, as low as $1 a month, would really be appreciated and go a long way. Once again, I've been your host, Chris Holcomb.
And I'm Emery Saunders.
Thank you for watching. We will see you next week. Real talk. Bitch, I wish you would punch a T-Rex in the face. Real talk.